process of abandoning the town on their own when the offensive began. Despite this latest claimed victory, locals say the fighting is still ongoing, though it does appear at the very least that civilians trapped within the city are finally being evacuated weeks after Iraqi military leaflets began falling on the area. An unnamed commander quoted in the state media report claimed
station earlier today. The commercial spacecraft holds 7,000 pounds of freight, including the world's first inflatable room for astronauts. This is SpaceX's first.
Check. 1, 2, 3.
On hold. NASA's planet-hunting Kepler spacecraft is in trouble. The treasured spacecraft responsible for detecting nearly 5,000 planets outside our solar system slipped into emergency mode sometime last week. NASA engineers are trying to fix it from 75 million miles away. The State Department isn't commenting on a senator's proposal to offer rewards for information generated through social media that helps thwart a terror attack. New York Democrat Charles Schumer says he plans to offer legislation that would require the State Department to pay no less than $25,000. More on these stories at townhall.com.
We're with Rod Smith, president of Green Polka Dot Box, the company behind the incredible Health Merchant online healthy grocery store concept. What do Health Merchant...
First-class stamp will be 47 cents. It stood at 49 cents for the last 2 years after the Postal Service said it needed to raise prices after a decline in revenue during the 2008 recession. The Postal Service is governed by the Postal Regulatory Commission and is a financially independent federal agency, meaning it must raise its own money to operate and does not receive tax dollars directly. The Commission approved a temporary 2-year increase in the price of stamps to help the United States Postal Service make back some of its losses after the recession. Postmaster General Megan Brennan said the agency applied to make the price increase permanent, but the commissioners declined. In addition to the reduction in price for first-class stamps, international letters will drop from $1.20 to $1.15, and postcards will drop from 35 to 34 cents. The reduction affects commercial shipping rates as well. The changes go into effect on Sunday. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports several employees of a Burger King fast food restaurant in Minnesota were persuaded by a prank caller posing as a fire official to smash the restaurant's windows, having been convinced that rising gas pressure was threatening to cause an explosion. Police Captain Tom Halley said police in the Minneapolis suburb of Coon Rapids were dispatched to the scene Friday night after someone at a gas station next door called emergency services to report what appeared to be an act of vandalism in progress. The restaurant manager told arriving officers that she had just received a phone call from a man identifying himself as a fire department official who seemed to have a working knowledge of a commercial fire safety system, which he asked her to check, according to Howley. After quickly ushering out the handful of customers who were present at the time, the manager and 3 other employees ran out to their car, grabbed tire irons and other objects, and began smashing all the glass ringing the building. By the time authorities arrived, the employees had shattered virtually all the ground floor windows, causing several $1,000s in damage. One worker suffered minor cuts and was treated on the scene by medics. Firefighters called to the restaurant checked the building but found no traces of leaking gas, and the incident was confirmed to have been a hoax. On Saturday, the smashed windows of the Burger King in Coon Rapids were still boarded up, but the restaurant was open for business, according to Howley. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
According to a groundbreaking study on anxiety disorders published this week in the New England Journal of Medicine, researchers have discovered that feelings of anxiety can be completely resolved as long as people think about them real hard.
After studying subjects with mild to chronic anxiety disorders, we found that the best way to overcome mental stress is to isolate the root of the anxiety, analyze it from every possible angle, and then think about it nonstop until it completely disappears.
Researchers worked with numerous subjects in the middle of high-stress scenarios and said the key to overcoming anxiety is to start by focusing on a minor problem, list everything that can go wrong in the worst-case scenario, and then repeat that list in your head 200 times. After anywhere between 3 to 6 hours of perpetually torturing yourself over things outside of your control, all feelings of anxiety will completely disappear, and you can finally enjoy the remainder of your day.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live Sunday edition of the program. You can bring up whatever's on your mind. Here tonight, we'll give you our toll-free numbers as well as the Skype username. And I realize, Mark, that you were supposed to actually do the intros and stuff on Sunday night, but
it's hard. We've had to switch seats, so I think we're just going to have
probably should do it old style here.
Yeah, the reason we're going to have to do that is because essentially the FBI coming and taking the computers. Well, now you bought new computers, and they want another one of yours.
Yeah, that's right, and we can't really talk about why that is yet.
Yeah,
so
not yet. We will, though.
We'll have to get into that later on. So you can join us here, and you can bring up whatever's on your mind. In fact, you can also do that on our website over at freetalklive.com. It is a Reddit-based site. The front page is. The rest of the site has nothing to do with Reddit. But the front page actually allows you to submit content that we might talk about on the radio. And even if we don't talk about it, other listeners will probably appreciate what you've submitted. If they don't, they can vote it down. If they like it, they can vote it up, and you can vote and submit things over at freetalklive.com. So please go there, get interactive. The top story right now at freetalklive.com, as submitted and voted on by listeners like you, is from RT.com, submitted by Malaya FM, and it's about former House Speaker Dennis Hastert, who is maybe going to jail for a sex abuse cover-up. According to RT, former Republican and Speaker of the House, Representative Dennis Hastert, could be jailed for 6 months for trying to cover up a $3.5 million payoff to one of 5 boys that he allegedly molested when he was a high school teacher in Yorkville, Illinois.
Oh, that's nice. How did he rise all the way to the top?
The abuse allegations date from 1965 to 1981, when Hastert was a teacher and wrestling coach at Yorkville High School in Chicago prior to becoming an Illinois state legislator. He was initially charged on a 2-count indictment in May of 2015 for deceiving investigators about $3.5 million that he had privately agreed to pay a certain individual A as restitution for an unspecified, quote, prior misconduct, unquote.
I guess a question that I would have here is if I was sexually abused by my wrestling coach or English teacher, did he say?
He was both a teacher and a wrestling coach.
Teacher, whatever that might be. Would I rather have them in prison or $3.5 million?
$3.5 million. I'd take that
I'm done.
day.
$3.5 million is where I would be in that circumstance.
I'd take $500,000.
Right. And I haven't had this circumstance. I don't propose to speak for everybody in that circumstance, but, I get it.
He was also accused of withdrawing money in such a way that kept banks from reporting his transactions to the government, to which he pled guilty in October of 2015. That's called structuring.
Yeah, that's what that is.
So now it's interesting. I've not heard of a withdrawing structuring, but I guess that's something you can do too. Normally, it's like if you deposit $10,000 or more in a bank account, they write what they call a cash transaction report about you. Right. But if you don't go over $10,000, then the CTR doesn't get written. But if you go under $10,000, if let's say you do $2,500, $2,500, $2,500, and it looks like you're structuring,
right,
then they call that structuring, and then they will file a suspicious activity report, an SAR, on you for that. So apparently the suspicious activity report was filed against him, and it somehow got to the attention of people who could do something about it. Because as TJ the Spy has pointed out, there are millions, I think he told me it was 17 million. Now I'm going on what he said. I haven't had any way of verifying this number, but he told me it was 17 million cash transaction reports are filed every single year. So these things are not looked at in any meaningful way. There's so many of them. So they're just there in case an investigation needs to be done,
right,
basically. The suspicious activity reports are actually, I believe, fewer of those that are filed, like something like 1 million.
And that's for the structuring
per year. That's structuring and anything else that's suspicious. So if you look shifty or something like that, if the teller feels like something is amiss, they will file a suspicious activity report. Anyway, Hastert did plead guilty to that in October of 2015. The nature of the misconduct for which he had paid the person were not named. The question has now been clarified, however. Court documents filed on Friday of this last week detail the former Republican's sordid past and the great lengths to which that he went to cover it up. Prosecutors detail how Hastert would offer his victims a massage first, before abusing them, leaving the boys to, quote, feel alone, ashamed, guilty, and devoid of dignity, unquote. One of the victims known only as individual...
Massages make them feel that way? I mean, it's creepy, and as far as I'm concerned.
No, the massage would be the first thing that he did. So he would offer the boys a massage and then proceed to do something more sexual to them. Now, they're calling this abuse, and we don't know the details yet of exactly what went on there. So let's continue. If you want to join us, by the way, the toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Because I know, again, TJ's not on the show tonight, but our Friday night co-host told me that if he was in high school and his wrestling coach offered to do sexual things to him, he would have been more than happy to oblige. So it's
highly inappropriate for a high school teacher to do this.
No doubt.
This is an issue of power, okay? This guy abused his power, and he should...
But is it always abuse? I mean, because I don't agree that it is...
Abusing your power? It is.
Well, I see where you're coming from on that, and I understand. I think that losing your job is the appropriate punishment here, unless there's actual, rape that went on. If the young males said yes, Mr. Hastert or Coach Hastert.
What if they didn't say yes and he just continued forward? Do you understand?
I see what you're saying there.
There's a lot of gray area in here, and that's why they call this rape. And I'm not, I don't know. Wasn't there. I wouldn't claim to know any of that stuff. But when you're talking about positions of power, these predators seek them. And turns out he just kept on seeking them. He went up to one of the third highest office in the land, Speaker of the House.
One of the victims was allegedly abused at the age of 14 at a motel where the teen was staying while attending wrestling camp. Hastert told the boy he wanted to check on a groin injury, insisting that the teen strip naked so that he could give him a massage, after which he touched him inappropriately. Hastert is also accused of performing sex acts on two other boys, aged 14 and 17, in the locker room of the Yorkville High School, while a fourth boy, also underage at the time, claimed Hastert, quote, brushed his hand against the boy's genitals, unquote, during a massage. A fifth boy, Stephen Reinbold, also associated with the wrestling team, is alleged to have been abused by Hastert, but Reinbold died of AIDS in 1995. Also detailed in the documents is how Hastert would often sit on a lazy boy type chair in full view of the locker room showers to watch the boys shower.
Oh God!
Which he would tell them.
What a creepy dude.
Which he would tell them he did in case a fight broke out.
It's a pretty good excuse. I mean, this is 1969 or something. I guess in my mind, these kind of things people weren't expecting these kind of things from their high school coaches.
Let's go to TJ the Spy. He's on the line calling from the studio kitchen. TJ, you're on Free Talk Live.
Audio's blank. No audio.
You can't hear us? Why don't you just come into the studio? I mean, we got an open seat if you want to join us here. Should hang up the phone. I'll hang up the phone. There we go. So TJ's joining us. We're going to go first, though, to Sarah in New Mexico. Sarah, where are you calling from tonight? In Albuquerque?
Hi. Am I on?
Are you in Albuquerque? Where are you at?
Hello?
Hi, can you hear me? There apparently is some problem here. I'm going to put Sarah back on hold. Apparently our studio is not connecting the audio correctly. There's something is amiss at the network studios. Hopefully
a potentiometer is not slid up.
It may not be a potentiometer, Mark. It might be one of those buttons above the potentiometers.
It could be that too.
That could send the audio to a place where it's not being sent.
Yeah, I'm a very good spy because as soon as I heard my name, I'm just like, got to call in and make sure and ask any questions.
So just to clarify, you could hear us on hold, but you could not hear us when we took your call.
As soon as you took my call, I got a and then immediately no audio. So
Ruh-roh. All right. Well, we'll definitely let our board
get to the
operator
bottom
know.
of this.
And at least that means that Sarah can hear us telling her now that she's back on hold that we'll get you back on. So, TJ, what were you wanting to say?
Well, actually, this reminds me of a very similar case. Well, I'll tell you in a bit.
It reminds you of a similar what?
Case in Illinois. I mean, it's almost identical.
Which is actually kind of where you're from.
Mm-hmm.
You've spent some time in Illinois. Toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE. It wasn't Dennis Hastert who was your wrestling coach, though, was he?
No.
Okay. All right, 855-450-FREE. You can join us here, and also you can Skype into the show. Skype username is LRN.FM, and we know Skype is working, so you can use that. It's Free Talk Live.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. You can buy them through expresscoin.com with a check or money order. There are other ways to get Bitcoin, but that's fast, safe, and easy. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy.
75 years ago, America suffered one of the worst moments in American history, the attack on Pearl Harbor. Now you can remember December 7th, 1941, with the purchase of the first ever 75th anniversary Pearl Harbor legal tender solid gold coin from the U.S. Money Reserve. Call 1-800-490-3200 right now for the official 75th anniversary Pearl Harbor legal tender gold coin from the U.S. Money Reserve, the only company authorized to distribute these 100% solid gold coins. Remember Pearl Harbor with this limited official gold release. 1-800-490-3200 or online at usmoneyreserve.com.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippie! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Listen to LRN.FM on any phone, anytime. 213-493-0309. That's 213-493-0309.
Free Talk Live Sunday edition here. You can join us toll-free at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Former House Speaker Dennis Hastert facing some possible molestation charges, apparently. He's in some hot water right now for having some alleged, I guess, without consensual touchings of some teenage boys at the high school at which he was a wrestling coach. We're learning more about this.
These people get these kind of positions for a reason, and it's because they're going to have access to what they're looking for. In this case, he was looking for young boys.
And he was looking at them on a lazy boy chair, apparently, in the locker room, which he claimed was – he sat there and watched them as they would shower in case a fight broke out. We're going to get back to the story here, and TJ the Spy joining Ian and Mark here in the studio. But first, I want to go one more time here to Sarah. Our board operator says he's fixed the audio difficulties we were having. Sarah, are you with us? Can you hear us now?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, go for it.
Oh, okay. Well, wonderful. Thank you so much for your show, because it gives me a chance to get things off my chest.
Great.
Because I have a gripe. I live in New Mexico, Albuquerque, and I do have some gripes.
Oh, so you're listening to Kiva tonight. Excellent. Go ahead.
Well, look at this. About 30,000 people have moved out of our state in the last 5 years.
How many have moved in? Is that a number that reflects that 30,000 is sort of the net, meaning that there's 30,000 fewer people, or is it just that 30,000 have moved out, but 40,000 could have moved in?
You know what? I don't know in particularly, but those are the people that have moved out. I don't know what the average out is.
Gotcha.
And then also we had the lowest UNM student enrollment in like 10 years or so. So then, then you ask us the question, well, why is everybody moving out? But I could see clearly what the problem is.
All right, what is it?
The problem is we're number one in pedestrian fatalities. They killed 71 people. And then we're second in
You think people are leaving the state because 71 people out of 2 million were killed by cars for walking?
Yeah, that seems pretty ridiculous. I mean, Sarah, I'm pretty sure you've called about pedestrian fatalities before, and it's pretty clear it's an important issue to you. I'm not saying it's not an important issue, but
I'm interested in why is it an important issue to you, Sarah?
She's probably pedestrian.
Well, because why would a tourist or student want to live here when they cannot even cross the street without some guy running a red light and killing them?
Well, I got to tell you, I mean, whenever I go to visit another place, I never check the pedestrian statistics. I don't know how many people do, but I suspect TJ, Mark, do either of you take a look at the pedestrian fatality or accident statistics of the state in which you are going to visit?
I do a fair. No, the answer to that is no. I do a fair bit of walking, and I guess I judge pedestrians rather harshly. I'm sort of the opinion if you can't get across the street without without some kind of aid, that you should be in the class.
Walking.
Right? I guess
take the friendly bus.
If you're a geriatric, I get it. If you're a mother with a child, I get it. But normal adults should be able to handle that crossing the street thing. To me.
But something, I know that this is the attitude that everybody has here, and also I was going to tell you that we're second in DWI, so 100 people got also killed. I mean, that's what I say. You asked, we're number one in pedestrian fatality, number second in DWI. 100 people got killed with drunk drivers last year. We're number third in bicycle fatalities, whatever that means, and we're number one in motorcycle fatality. And I ask you again, who wants to come and live here? What business want to move over here and bring all of their employees?
I think businesses normally make decisions based on financial factors more so than the chances that they might get struck while they're driving or walking somewhere. When you're looking at moving a business, you really want to look at, let's say, what the tax rates are. Can you get any kind of incentives to move somewhere? Is the destination you're considering more friendly, for instance, tax-wise, than where you currently are? And what's the best destination for, maybe starting a new business or moving it? I really just don't think most business owners are taking these things into effect or under consideration. But obviously it's important to you, and there's no doubt that being on the roads is a dangerous place, whether you're in a car or you're not in a car. You are at risk when you're nearby hurtling chunks of metal that are 2 tons or more per piece that could very well end your life quickly. So I can understand the concerns. Have you been in a car accident before?
Something, I have been in 3 automobile accidents, and I cannot drive. I hate driving. So I'm one of those people that are traumatized. And so the thing is, but here's the thing is that, what? All the leaders here, they all have this attitude, well, it's not important. It's not an important issue, but that's a part of it. That's all part of, the visitors, the tourists wanting to come here because they want to visit in a safer place.
Sarah, thanks for the call tonight. I appreciate it. I think,
according to CBS News, North Dakota is number 1 in drinking and driving.
Right. Did she say they were number 2?
They said they were number 1.
Oh, she said they were number 1. Okay.
Well, these are the sort of statistics that you can toss out because oftentimes you'll find something on the internet that says something, and it may be old or whatever, but I'm looking here, and I've looked at the top 5, 6, 7 states, and none of them are New Mexico.
Well, there is here at Forbes.com one surprise on last year's outbound list that's back again this year, New Mexico, which would appear to beckon retiring boomers with its warm, dry climate, reasonable housing prices, and plenty of outdoor activities. Including skiing and hiking amidst some of America's most beautiful scenery. But Stoll says the 2013 federal budget sequester resulted in deep funding cuts to 2 of the state's major employers, the weapons labs in Los Alamos and Sandia. And
I looked at the population, too, and their population dropped by about 400 people from 2014 to 2015.
Okay.
Whatever these concerns are about New Mexico, apparently the gorgeous weather is outstripping them.
Toll-free number tonight, 855-450-FREE. But it is true.
Now, their police department in Albuquerque is out of its mind, okay?
Sure.
Now,
that's true.
I'm not saying that people would necessarily leave over that, but some may.
But leaving Albuquerque doesn't mean you'll leave the entire state.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I wouldn't hazard a guess as to how many people they've killed, but it's probably
several.
Yeah, it's probably creeping up on this number she's claiming as far as pedestrians. So, some of them probably needed it, and some of them, I'm sure, didn't.
So, yeah, I mean, be careful when you're on the road. That's really all you can say because you can get killed by a drunk driver any old place in the country.
Right. That's really one thing about roads is that they're covered in cars, and cars can kill you.
So there you go. Yeah, and you can call in to Free Talk Live to bring up whatever you want. That's certainly true.
A friend of mine was in an accident with a pedestrian this week.
Even if it's irrational fears.
Yeah, well, it may be rational. It's rational to be scared of getting hit by cars. It's not rational to be traumatized by it, but that's what trauma is all about. A friend of mine got in an automobile accident this week. He was a passenger with a pedestrian, and the woman driving was in her 80s. So I'm not claiming that this lady was not at fault.
This must be Florida.
She was at fault. No, it wasn't. But it turns out, he says, this girl didn't even look both ways before she crossed the street. She had headphones in, and she was looking at her phone, and she was bebopping across the road, and she didn't. You got to look both ways, people.
You've got to walk defensively and drive defensively because you never know what these other people are going to do. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Just presume they're all drunk. 855-450-FREE. You join us. It's Free Talk Live.
Planning to buy food storage? Wait a minute. Many companies try to confuse you with the number of servings they sell. It's not about the number of servings, it's about the number of calories. In emergencies, calories mean survival. Go to ReadySupplyFoods.com for a comparison of leading companies. Ready Supply Foods sells the most calories per dollar of any company. Our 23 entrees and breakfasts are delicious and full of nutritious calories. The new leader in value and quality. Go to ReadySupplyFoods.com today.
Worried about lead, fluoride, and other contaminants in your drinking water? Get a ProPure with the Pro 1G 2.0 cleanable reusable filter and remove up to 200 contaminants. Drink water the way nature meant it to be. Clean, crisp, and refreshing. See the complete line of ProPure products, including the new ProMax shower filter. There's a ProPure for you. Visit your authorized ProPure dealer for details or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com or 800-544-3533.
Hi, I'm Montel Williams. Most of you know me as a talk show host, but I'm also an author, actor, single father of 4, a fitness writer, avid snowboarder, and I'm also a medical marijuana patient. Like many of the million people who are living with multiple sclerosis, I'm in pain every single day. And sometimes my nerves are so raw that if you brushed up against me in an elevator, I'd scream. I can't sleep at night from the pain, and sometimes the spasms in my legs are so intense they will wake me up throughout the night. I've tried the strongest prescription medications available, and I'm going to tell you, they do not work. In fact, they leave me in a stupor, and most of the time, it's impossible to even live your life. Now, I've tried medical marijuana, and I'm going to tell you something, it works. If you'd like more information about medical marijuana, you can contact the Marijuana Policy Project at mpp.org or call 1-877-JOIN-MPP.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Stouffer's, helping bring your family together with wholesome dinner options, even on the busiest of nights. Find dinner table ideas to bring your family together at letsfixdinner.com. To get kids involved in dinnertime conversation, ask specific questions, not broad ones. Instead of what happened today at school, try what was the best thing that happened today. The more specific you are, the more they'll have to say. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. Facebook.freetalklive.com.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Dial toll free. Join us here. Bring up whatever's on your mind. We've also got Skype. Skype username is LRN.FM. We'll talk more about former House Speaker Dennis Hastert, who apparently used to sit in a lazy boy recliner in the locker room at the school at which he was a teacher and wrestling coach, and would observe the teenage boys showering while claiming that the reason why he would sit in said recliner was because he wanted to make sure that a fight did not break out.
In fact, he was imagining wrestling, doing a little wrestling of his own.
Yes, he was. And sometimes he did more than imagine, apparently. There are some allegations that there were some molestations that went on. We'll tell you more about it here in moments. Also, if you want to save on whatever it is you need to buy through Amazon, just go to saveitpurse.com and get started there. You do need to have Bitcoin. If you do, you'll save 20% easy. Last couple things I bought through saveitpurse.com, I needed them quickly. I put a 20% or 25% discount because you select what your discount is. I set it at 20-25%. They went, because what happens is somebody else basically buys it for you with cash, and then they ship it to you as a gift, and then you send them Bitcoin later on for it. And they bought it within an hour or so. So it came super fast. And they paid for Sunday delivery. So these people really want that Bitcoin, and they're willing to. And in some cases, you don't always get Sunday delivery. It just depends on how badly the person who's buying it wants the Bitcoin. But I get Sunday delivery surprisingly often from SaveItPurse.com.
Who delivers it? What organization?
I've had it come from FedEx and from the U.S. Postal Service.
I didn't even know they worked on that time.
It's a surprise every time they pull up. Like, oh, it's Sunday. Okay, must be Purse. SaveItPurse.com. I got a pair of headphones, little earbuds for $5 off. So normally they're $25. I paid $20 worth of Bitcoin.
There you go.
So go and get started at SaveItPurse, TJ the Spy joining us in here.
Thank you very much.
You were trying to call in earlier. There were some technical difficulties, and since you live here, we just figured bring you in and
just bring me in and just speak from the horse's mouth.
So you said that this Hastert situation rings a bell for you.
Yes, it does. So the first thing is statute of limitations, and people say, well, what are statute of limitations? And basically, if you commit a crime after a certain length of time, if the prosecutor hasn't charged you, you can't be charged with a crime. So we all know in the movies, somebody commits like a robbery, and then 10 years later they go, ha, 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 I did it, you can't charge me. And a lot of people go, well, why would you have this? It seems kind of wrong that a person should commit a crime.
It seems like it was created solely for the purpose of Hollywood to use it in television shows.
In a plot
shows.
device. And so, first of all, some crimes like murder do not have a statute of limitations. If you kill somebody, 50 years from now, they can still charge you with the murder.
And they did that not too long ago with the case of, like in the 60s, some guy burnt down a church that killed some people in like Mississippi or Alabama or someplace in the South.
Most crimes, including child molestation in this case, so Illinois, Illinois compiled statute 735, basically it has 18, when the victim turns 18 plus 10 years. Now, why would you let a child molester go just because it's been so long? And the answer is twofold. One is to prevent people if there's an alibi witness to a crime. So if this guy were to accuse Dennis Hastert raped me when I was 13 years old, and there's an alibi witness who says, no, he didn't, I was there, and unfortunately that person is now dead. Remember, the only testimony that can be admitted into court is if a witness is available to testify. If an alibi witness dies, so, Ian, you're accused of bank robbery, but I can testify that you didn't do it because you were with me when the bank robbery occurred. Mm-hmm. If the prosecution can wait until I die and then charge you, they've denied you the right to a fair trial.
I see.
So one of the reasons we have a statute of limitations is it encourages the prosecution to not dilly-dally and wait for evidence to get lost or memories to fade. They have to make a decision and say, do we want to charge it or do we want to let it go? The second purpose is so that they can't use it as a cudgel over your head. So if you were to, say commit tax fraud, and 20 years from now it's discovered, well, they can always say, you better behave, Ian, or we're going to charge you with this crime 20 years ago. So the thing about statute of limitations, the one is to make sure that alibi witnesses and evidence is fresh. The second is to make sure the government can't use misdeeds you did when you were 20, 30 years ago against you. Now, the reason this case rings a bell to me, Illinois is one of the states where the statute of limitations does not run unless you're a resident of the state. So if you leave the state for any reason, they can stop the 10 years or 3 years for regular felonies, and it'll run indefinitely. So that actually was a case in 76. A high school principal molested a young boy, allegedly, and he was fired, and a year later he moved to the state of Indiana. Fast forward to 1995, 20 years, the guy he molested is dying of HIV. He comes forward and says the high school principal molested me. The high school principal said, well, the 3-year statute of limitations has expired. And the Supreme Court of Illinois said, no, it hasn't, because you left the state. If you would have stayed within the state of Illinois and been a resident of the state of Illinois, yes, we would have been barred by the statute of limitations, and we could not bring charges.
But what defines a resident in this circumstance? Because, if
he changed his driver's license,
what if he had visited Illinois in that amount of time?
It's changing residency. Okay. So when you usually now look, each state is different, but in New Hampshire, for instance, which is where we are, is my understanding that if you declare your residency somewhere else, then you're resided somewhere else. But if you declare residency in New Hampshire for the purpose of getting a driver's license or whatever, voting, then you've moved your residency.
Yeah. Legal land, of course, doesn't define it very precisely. Usually the courts will look at a kind of a panoply of things, such as where is your car registered? Do you vote in Illinois?
Where do you sleep?
A big one, do you pay Illinois income taxes? So, I pay Illinois income taxes, and people say, well, why? Well, I say because I'm a resident of Illinois. If I'm not a resident of Illinois...
You're visiting New Hampshire.
I am technically visiting New Hampshire because I consider Illinois my home. I return there on a regular basis, and my intent is to stay there permanently.
I wonder if somebody can do a study on which state it is best to be resident of. What are the benefits of it? Obviously,
that's an interesting
you'd
question.
want to pick one that doesn't have an income tax, so that pares it way down. You're at that point down to probably a 20% of them.
Handful.
And then after
Does
that,
Arizona have an income tax?
I would imagine Arizona. I don't know the answer to that.
Texas, Nevada, New Hampshire, and Alaska are the four, and Florida.
I thought Oregon or Washington. One of Oregon or Washington also doesn't. I think it's Oregon that doesn't have an income tax.
Yeah, I'm not up to date on that.
Washington.
You'd want one with good sort of gun reciprocity for your concealed carry, I would think.
I mean, Illinois. One advantage if you're a resident.
Hold on. When you start typing states with no into Google, the first result is no income tax.
Yes, I'm sure.
7 U.S. states currently do not have income tax: Alaska, Florida, Nevada, South Dakota, Texas, Washington, and Wyoming. So it's Washington state that has no income tax, and I believe it is Oregon that has no sales tax.
Yes, but we're very rare in New Hampshire.
That's right.
I thought only New Hampshire didn't have a sales tax.
Nope.
See, but New Hampshire not having sales tax does no good to a New Hampshire resident outside of New Hampshire. So you go to Vermont and you're going to pay extra when you buy a soda at the counter.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. I can tell you every state is different. So what's the best state for you? It depends on your circumstances. So, for example, if you're on SNAP, food stamps, Illinois will give you 12 months of food stamps, no questions asked, whereas here in New Hampshire, they make you jump through all kinds of hoops. After 3 months, they'll cut you off unless you're working 20 hours a week.
Thank goodness.
And, well, it's kind of fun. I mean, one of the projects I do is James and I, we go through New Hampshire and we look for all the government grants you can get if you're poor and apply for them. So, like, they'll pay you $100 a month to look for a job. They'll give you 30 cents a mile. And so I said, well,
$100 a month. Huh?
$100 a month. And so I said, well, if, hey, you need to go up to Concord, just drop off an application to Domino's Pizza.
So
hey,
are
I'm
you
looking
like
for a job.
welfare queen? What am I hearing here?
Yes, he pretty much is.
Well, welfare queen implies,
implies, it certainly doesn't imply heterosexuality.
Yes. My view on public assistance is if you go to a website and you're honest with them, you say, here's how much money I have in the bank, here's what I'm making in my job, and the government says, oh, we're going to give you $194 a month to pay for your food, I don't see any moral dilemma. You're not lying to the government. They're saying, here's money.
Certainly, if you've given the government a bunch of money, you're just getting a little bit back, right? Toll-free number here tonight, 855-450-FREE. That's 855.
It just sounds like he relishes it.
450-3733. You can join us on the live Sunday edition of Free Talk Live.
Have you ever thought you'd like to flip houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? Are you ready to be your own boss so you can start living the good life? Hi, I'm Preston Ely. I used to be so broke. I had my electricity turned off 9 times, but I figured out a way to quit my job and find financial freedom in real estate. For a limited time, I want to send you a free copy of my smash hit selling book, How to Get Rich in Real Estate. It shows you how to copy exactly what I did so you can make money from the comfort of your own home without even doing any manual labor. I've already given away 5,000 books and they're going fast. To get one before they're gone, call 1-800-960-3494. Listen, if you're sick and tired of stressing about money, this book could change your life. It's short, fun to read, easy to understand, and awesome. To find out how to get your free book while supplies last, call 1-800-960-3494. Call 1-800-960-3494. 1-800-960-3494.
As if chlorine in our water weren't bad enough, now they're adding ammonia?
It's true. Some municipalities are now adding ammonia plus chlorine to your water supply. It's a disinfectant called chloramine. But with a trusted Big Berkey water filter, you can keep chloramine out of your water. New NSF EPA certified lab tests show EPA Berkey water filters remove chloramines, pharmaceuticals, BPA, pesticides, bacteria and viruses, all forms of fluoride, and much more. Big Berkey water filters are the original and most trusted on the market, the gold standard in water purification. And our filters last for years at less than 2 cents per gallon. Big Berkey, the one that's powerful enough to purify stagnant pond water. Get your Big Berkey today. Call 1-877-99-BERKEY or click BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. That's 1-877-99-BERKEY. Big Berkey water filters, for the love of clean water.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Are you a political activist who does things that the government might not like? Then this free ebook may save your life. Rats is your guide to protecting yourself against snitches, informers, informants, agents provocateur, narcs, finks, and similar vermin. Rats was written by OG libertarian Claire Wolfe. Rats is a short book, easy to read, and available free in many formats. Download Rats free at rats-nosnitch.com. That's rats-nosnitch.com.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You're invited to join us here. Toll-free numbers 855-450-FREE. Was Dennis Hastert your wrestling coach? Apparently he was.
There might be some money in it
with the
for
amount
you.
of money he was paying. I wish he was my wrestling coach. I totally would have shut my yap. If the FBI would have come to me and said, did he molest you? I said, I have $3 million in my checking account. I am not saying anything. Subpoena me.
The toll-free number tonight, if you want to join us, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. The allegations are that between 1965 and 1981, Hastert was a teacher and a wrestling coach at Yorkville High School in Chicago. And apparently some people remember his infamous lazy boy type chair that was in full view of the locker room showers.
By the sounds of it, I would think that all of them do.
Wait a minute. They remember something 30 years ago. I mean, 81. That was over 30 years ago.
Who could forget
Your
that?
coach is sitting in a lazy boy watching you guys take a shower. Yes, you were going to remember that.
Yeah. In fact, according to RT.com, Andy Richter, who is a sidekick to chat show host Conan O'Brien, recalls this from his time at the school. He said in a tweet, I went to Yorkville High School between 80 and 84, and I remember this chair.
And nobody came forward in 30 years. He was a politician. Nobody came forward
Apparently
with this story.
He was paying him off.
Well, okay, and then so what's wrong with that?
I don't think there's anything wrong with him paying them if they're accepting it, if it's a deal that they're accepting. And again, we don't know what exactly
that makes him
happened.
being guilty of. He's being a creep in the first degree, but that's not a criminal offense.
No doubt about it. In fact, as I was saying before you joined us here tonight, TJ, you said if your high school wrestling coach wanted to do some,
naughty. Well, I was
14
I was 14, 15. He was 26, and of course there's a difference. If he would have said you're going to have sex with me and I'm going to flunk you, that's
would be different. Using power for sure.
But if I said,
that
hey,
is
coach,
always there. But that threat is always there. I'm not claiming that people didn't have crushes on their teachers. I get that they do.
Yeah, there was some nice-looking substitutes.
Once that dynamic goes
the Mary
into play,
Kay Letourneau. I mean, people.
Wait a second. Let me finish my statement.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The fact is that whenever the power dynamic is in play, you can expect reciprocity. People understand that. Students understand that. People in relationships understand that. I used to, I'd had a girlfriend who baked marvelous cakes at one point. she doesn't make cakes for me anymore because she's not my girlfriend anymore. So you can expect that if, I don't know, the grades are you're being graded on a curve because you and the teacher have a relationship, that suddenly the curve is going to turn the opposite direction when you stop having the relationship. That's why these power dynamics are highly immoral.
Quote, while defendant achieved great success, reaping all the benefits that went with it, these boys struggled and are all still struggling now with what the defendant did to them, the filing reads. Some have managed better than others, but all of them carry the scars defendant inflicted upon them, unquote. Hastert, who would have been second in line to become president during George W. Bush's time in office, cannot be charged with sexual abuse, however, as the statute of limitations on the cases has run out. But the filing does state that, quote, the government seeks to hold defendant accountable for the crimes he committed that can still be prosecuted, unquote. Hastert's shady past, whose revelation resulted in his portrait being removed from the U.S. Capitol, was ironically uncovered thanks to the U.S. Patriot Act, a bill that he fought hard for as House Speaker.
Delicious irony. I mean, see, politicians, they love to pass these laws until they get caught violating them. So a good example, Eliot Spitzer, the love gov of New York. He was a big anti-prostitution person. He put all kinds of people in prison for prostitution. And, of course, I love the irony of who he was, what caused him to be unseated. He was paying $12,000 a night for a high-end call girl, and rather than pay the $12,000, fill out the currency transaction report, he broke the transaction into 3 transactions of $4,000, and that is a crime.
Thought he was being smart.
Well, Title 31, Section 5324 structuring makes that a crime. Well, the bank filled out a SAR, Suspicious Activity Report, and again, that wouldn't have been a big deal, except that an IRS CID agent in the New York field office was going through just every month, and he's like, do I see any names that I recognize? And it popped out, Eliot Spitzer, the governor of New York.
And they checked it out.
This gets interesting. This will get me a promotion.
Well, he alerted the FBI because they initially thought Eliot Spitzer was being blackmailed. So they got a wiretap warrant on Eliot Spitzer, and they uncovered the whole prostitution ring.
So did SARs not exist prior to the Patriot Act?
They did, but they are much more stringent now. So before it was just banks and casinos. Now it's banks, casinos, precious metal dealers, and all businesses.
Interesting.
So a good
precious
example.
metal dealers. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. Well, it's of course, because every time a drug cartel, banks and casino. We'll make it where you have to put a CTR on a bank. We'll just use a casino. Okay, banks and casinos. We'll go through precious metal dealers and insurance companies. Precious metal dealers.
So now it's Bitcoin, and they don't know what to do.
Hold that thought, guys. Steve is in New Jersey, and you can join us here toll free at 855-450-FREE. Go ahead, Steve. You're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
What's on your mind tonight?
All right, listen, in reference to your molestation case, correct me if I'm wrong here. I'm not trying to bust you, but I believe you said that the guy was home and he was dying from HIV. Okay, that's impossible. That doesn't happen. You don't die from HIV.
I didn't say that.
I did. So he died of AIDS-related complication due to an HIV infection back in 1995 before they actually had reverse protease inhibitors.
That's different case. Yes, you're correct then. Okay, very good.
Was that all you calling just to correct us there?
Yeah, that's all, man. Just want to make sure it was correct.
All right, Steve. Thanks for checking up on us. Appreciate it. Toll free number tonight 855-450-FREE. Under the Act, bank officials have to alert authorities to cash transactions of over $10,000. Hastert fell foul of this requirement while making 15 withdrawals of $50,000 between 2010 and 2012, and then, in an attempt to flout the laws, repeatedly withdrew cash in $9,000 increments over the following 2 years.
That's the problem with structuring, is it gets to be really boring if you've got to get a large amount of money, if you've got to keep on doing different size, because everybody does $9,000 because it's close to 10, and it's not as suspicious as $9,999.
Well, the amount is irrelevant. You could put $1,000 a day in for 10 days. If it comes down to intent, the law says if your intent is in any way to avoid a currency transaction report, that is the felony. It's a thought crime. So what determines intent? Well, a jury looks at the pattern and says, okay, you clearly were trying to break the law here. And these laws are very dangerous because you think about it, well, it's my money. I'm not a drug dealer. I'm not a thief.
Well, it's one of the reasons you don't want, you don't want to put your money in a bank. You're just waiting.
Well, it's irrelevant. Even a bank. So, for example, if you're selling your car, or a good example, if you're a business, you're a contractor repairing my home. If I pay you $10,000 or more in cash, you need to fill out a Form 8300. And if you willfully fail to file a Form 8300, that is a crime. If you know you had to file one but you refuse to, that is a crime. So a lot of people, if you sell your gun collection, is that and you pay $13,000? Well, if you're not in the business of selling it, then no, you don't. So a lot of people don't even know about these laws.
Sure.
And they get into very big trouble when the IRS says, "Oh, you had $10,000 or more in a Canadian checking account for one day last year, and you didn't file a foreign bank account report as required by the FinCEN rules. We're seizing all your money." So that happens a lot of expatriates, like they move to Singapore, Japan, and they open a checking account
to pay their bills.
Yes, and they don't know. If you at any point in the year, if you have more than $10,000 in a foreign checking account combined, so you have $5,000 in a Canadian checking account, $5,000 in a Japanese bank account, even for one day, then you must file an FBAR.
With who?
With the IRS.
Or else they will prosecute.
Yes,
but
that presumes you're going to come back to the United States, right?
Well, no, they don't have. They can, assuming what they can do is just seize your money, because they can also civil asset forfeiture it, because the money's
But they can't. Can they do that from your Japanese bank account?
Yes, they can order the Japanese bank to surrender.
And they will
the
do
money.
it.
And the Japan, that we have reciprocity agreements. A lot of countries will allow your tax authority to seize our money, and so if a German official has money in a U.S. bank account, we have a reciprocity agreement with Germany. We will enforce each other's tax laws.
Now, didn't the Swiss... It used to be that you could get away with having, I think, money in a Swiss bank account, but they changed that to where they are now cooperating with the IRS.
Correct.
Right?
If you're a U.S. citizen...
they went after them.
If you're a U.S. citizen and you have a Swiss bank account, the Swiss tax authorities are required to turn over your name, date of birth, social security number to the IRS along with your account balance.
Which is why people are more likely to try to withdraw their citizenship these days. We've seen the numbers have been going up dramatically in just the last few years.
Up 20% last year. It's skyrocketing. It's growing exponentially.
Of people who are officially renouncing their citizenship so they can then become citizens elsewhere and have bank accounts and not have to worry about the IRS.
It used to be it was amazing. In a country of 330 million people, you maybe had 200-300 people a year, less than 1 in a million.
Now it's 2,000 a year.
4,000 a year.
4,000,
Yeah, you're getting to 1 in 100,000. So what's concerning is not that it's going up. It's going up exponentially. The number of people fleeing this country is going up exponentially. And any exponential function, what happens? It eventually gets big very quickly.
Mm-hmm. Every government at some point falls, right? They go through they start out, they go through their heyday, and then at some point they crumble and they fall. I don't know when the United States goes.
Can't happen soon enough.
Well, you're just rooting for it.
Yeah, absolutely. The government is the world's policeman. It is an evil force around the globe. It kills innocent people all over the place. There's no reason to have a federal government. I say good riddance. Hopefully it'll be soon. Hour number 2 is coming up. Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live is having a huge sale on ads. If you have a local business, contact this station. They'll help you out. But if you do business nationally through a website, a brand, or a call center, Free Talk Live ads are 66% off until April 16th. I can't give you the rates here, but I can tell you the packages are as low as $500. We're on 170-plus stations. We do endorsements. We have a big old online audience. Contact Mark at freetalklive.com. We've never had a sale this big. Mark at freetalklive.com.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phones, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Friday, gold is $5 lower at $1,236 per ounce. Silver is even at $15.29 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $422 US. You don't have to offshore your cash to protect it from a sinking dollar. Consider investing in gold and silver instead. Give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices.
Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for lrn.fm in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Sunday, April 10th, 2016. Silver is trading at $15.36 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,239 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $423. Antiwar.com reports Iraqi state television is once again claiming a total military victory over the Islamic State and says it is in full control of the Anbar province town of Hit, the second time they've made this claim in less than a month. The town is near Iraq's Ain al-Assad air base and has been contested repeatedly throughout the war with the Islamic State, with local Sunni tribes often clashing with the Islamic State, and repeated reports that the Islamic State was in the process of abandoning the town on their own when the offensive began. Despite this latest claimed victory, locals say the fighting is still ongoing, though it does appear, at the very least, that civilians trapped within the city are finally being evacuated, weeks after Iraqi military leaflets began falling on the area. An unnamed commander quoted in the state media report claimed the Islamic State has been routed and that within days, God willing, Iraqis will rejoice at the complete liberation of Anbar province. Apart from the virtually destroyed capital of Ramadi, the Islamic State still controls virtually the entire province, Iraq's largest. FPP Radio News is brought to you by Bitcoin Not Bombs. Bitcoin Not Bombs is a launching pad for nonprofits and social entrepreneurs into the financial freedom of the Bitcoin economy. Bitcoin Not Bombs is fully committed to being the hub of the nonprofit sector of the Bitcoin economy, maximizing the potential cross-promotion of all our clients and commercial partners. To learn more, visit bitcoinnotbombs.com. UPI reports the cost to mail a letter will drop by 2 cents starting this weekend, a change the U.S. Postal Service opposes, saying it will cost about $2 billion in revenue. The new cost of a first-class stamp will be 47 cents. It stood at 49 cents for the last 2 years after the Postal Service said it needed to raise prices after a decline in revenue during the 2008 recession. The Postal Service is governed by the Postal Regulatory Commission and is a financially independent federal agency, meaning it must raise its own money to operate and does not receive tax dollars directly. The Commission approved a temporary 2-year increase in the price of stamps to help the United States Postal Service make back some of its losses after the recession. Postmaster General Megan Brennan said the agency applied to make the price increase permanent, but the commissioners declined. In addition to the reduction in price for first-class stamps, international letters will drop from $1.20 to $1.15, and postcards will drop from 35 to 34 cents. The reduction affects commercial shipping rates as well. The changes go into effect on Sunday. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports several employees of a Burger King fast food restaurant in Minnesota were persuaded by a prank caller posing as a fire official to smash the restaurant's windows, having been convinced that rising gas pressure was threatening to cause an explosion. Police Captain Tom Howley said police in the Minneapolis suburb of Coon Rapids were dispatched to the scene Friday night after someone at a gas station next door called emergency services to report what appeared to be an act of vandalism in progress. The restaurant manager told arriving officers that she had just received a phone call from a man identifying himself as a fire department official who seemed to have a working knowledge of a commercial fire safety system, which he asked her to check, according to Howley. After quickly ushering out the handful of customers who were present at the time, the manager and 3 other employees ran out to their car, grabbed tire irons and other objects, and began smashing all the glass ringing the building. By the time authorities arrived, the employees had shattered virtually all the ground floor windows, causing several $1,000s in damage. One worker suffered minor cuts and was treated on the scene by medics. Firefighters called to the restaurant checked the building but found no traces of leaking gas, and the incident was confirmed to have been a hoax. On Saturday, the smashed windows of the Burger King in Coon Rapids were still boarded up, but the restaurant was open for business, according to Howley. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Months after identifying the elusive Higgs boson particle, scientists at CERN in Geneva, Switzerland have announced that they've completely run out of things to do with their Large Hadron Collider.
We've tried some time travel stuff, but it doesn't really work. Black holes, but we already know like a ton about those. Last week, we threw a bird in there. Honestly, we thought it would take way longer to find the Higgs boson.
Director General of CERN, Rolf Dieter Hauer, told reporters that while they, quote, might be able to figure out some more about quarks or something, for the most part, his team has spent much of the past year throwing pennies into the machine and turning it on to see if the pennies come out smushed.
We might just start building a larger hadron collider. Yeah, maybe a bigger collider for smaller hadrons or something. I don't know.
CERN has announced on their website that if anyone out there has any fun ideas for experiments, you can email them to ideas@largehadroncollider.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Oh, man, this Dennis Hastert guy. So there's more here to the story from RT.com, Russia Today, reporting on Dennis Hastert, the former House of Representatives Speaker, who is now in some hot water. He's not going to be facing any molestation charges because the statute of limitations clock has run out.
But he probably should be.
On those. But he is going to be facing some possible penalty, I guess, for essentially for structuring payments and attempting to avoid cash transaction reports, which ironically he helped to propagate this because he wanted to pass, was a big advocate for the USA Patriot Act. Yeah. And that's what we're going to get into here with you tonight. You've got Ian,
DJ the Spy,
and Mark,
inviting you to join us toll free at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733, or Skype into the show with your thoughts at Skype username LRN.FM. RT continues here. So what happened was, under the U.S. Patriot Act, if you make a cash transaction to more than $10,000, a cash transaction report is filed. The story says that Hastert fell afoul of this requirement when making 15 withdrawals of $50,000 between 2010 and 2012. But I don't know why that would have, doing that isn't a crime, right?
Well, it is if your intent was in any way. So you're allowed to withdraw your money as long as you have a legitimate business reason for it.
His reason was to pay off one of his previous victims.
Remember, it's not illegal to pay hush money to people. If you say, look, Ian, I know what
Michael Jackson did it, right?
Michael Jackson did it. And,
well, but Ian, it's very simple. If you make your withdrawals based on a concern for the law, then you violated the law.
Right. But what I'm saying is the story says that he made 15 withdrawals of $50,000. So he was over the $10,000, which means cash transaction reports were being filed, but that's not evidence of criminal activity. So what I'm wondering is what it was that made him switch from doing $50,000 withdrawals to $9,000, because that's when he got into hot water.
Yeah. Right.
Was when he started trying to avoid the cash transaction reports.
Yeah, when I was indicted for money laundering, my attorney he said, look, I'll give you the same advice I give my drug dealing clients. If you make $2 million a month selling crack cocaine, take the cash, just put it in the bank, they'll fill out the CTR, pay your taxes, and nothing more will be made of it. If you try and get around the structuring is one of the stupidest laws ever, and it's also one that they like to enforce because it allows them very easily to take your money. And so, I mean, it's kind of awkward. I mean, imagine going to the IRS field office and saying, all right, here's $1 million in cash. But honestly, if you go down to the IRS field office in your nearest city and you say, I need to pay my income taxes, here's $1 million in cash, they'll give you a receipt, they'll fill out the CTR, and nothing more will be made of it. They're not.
So that's what I understand is it's not clear from this story is like, why did he make the decision? Did someone tell him, hey, Dennis, they're filling out cash transaction reports about you? And then he decided to just start going below $10,000, which is what triggered the suspicious activity reports, which is something that put him on the radar.
Well, wait a second, TJ. Don't your lawyer fellow who is telling everybody to pay their taxes, which I'm sure that's what he's supposed to do. Drug dealers generally don't get checks or credit card transactions. Why are they depositing cash in banks in the first place?
Well, that's the thing, because sometimes,
if you've got a bunch of cash and your house catches fire, then that's a problem, right?
Well, I mean, the problem is Title 18 United States Code Section 1956 is money laundering. So the moment you take any drug dealing proceeds and put it in the bank, that's an additional crime. So a good lawyer would say, take your drug dealing cash and keep it cash, but you got to pay your taxes. So normally people, the way they pay their taxes is they put money in the bank and then write a check to the IRS, but that would be a crime to put it in the bank. So you can't have a law where we're going to make it a law you have to comply with, but not give you a legal method to comply with it. So the IRS has basically come up with a solution. If you're a drug dealer and you have $2 million in cash, you can't put it in the bank, but you still got to pay your taxes, so they will accept cash payments at their local field office, and they'll write you a receipt, and that is not a crime.
I get it, and that's what the lawyers are supposed to say, but I mean, obviously you're setting yourselves up. If you're paying $1 million in taxes in cash, you're clearly telling the IRS and the government that you are a drug dealer. Please hunt me down.
The IRS,
but here's my point is if you've got your money in cash and Ian's concerned that your house might burn down, that sounds legitimate. There are places that you can keep money. I mean, I'm just thinking of
there are fireproof safes.
Well, I'm thinking of that fireproof safe sounds like a good idea. What about those lockers that they have at bus
lockers.
stations and stuff?
Well,
where you just turn the key.
The bus stations are a bad idea because they got rid of those. But don't put it in a safe deposit box because the U.S. Attorney's Office has ruled that putting it in a safe deposit box at an FDIC-insured bank is still money laundering.
I'm sure it's not safe from the government. That's for sure.
Well, you got to put it in a storage locker, like one of these U-Haul rental storage lockers.
Oh, I see.
So things get even more entertaining here with the Hastert story. So again, he helped pass the very law that he fell afoul of by trying to avoid the $10,000. And according to the filing, Hastert told bank officials at the time that he was, quote, aware of the law, but that the Patriot Act was just for terrorism and he was not a terrorist.
No. It doesn't matter. That actually was a...
Oh, wait a minute. You mean you didn't read the law there, Dennis?
Yeah. Actually, there's a Supreme Court precedent. As a former professional gambler, that's the reason I had to know all these laws. But there was a USA versus Ratzliff case, and he got off on the grounds that he knew about the law, but he didn't know it was a crime. And now they amended the law. You don't have to know that violating the law is a crime. You just have to know there's a $10,000 reporting requirement. If the government can show you knew there was a $10,000 limit at which there would be a form filed, and you too did something to avoid the filing of that form, that is a crime, and you can be convicted.
I'll bet people do this all the time.
Yes, of course they do.
I just average people doing average things probably think about this all the time because they realize that there's going to be some form filed, and they just don't want to come up on the IRS's radar. Turns out that you're better off just doing whatever you were going to do in the first place.
I mean, let the cash transaction report get filed.
Yeah, I mean, if you're doing a remodel and you pay your contractor $20,000 and get, like, when I bought a machine gun, it was like $30,000.
That you don't have here.
That I don't have here. No,
Right.
Absolutely, I wouldn't have it here because I don't have the transportation letter from the ATF. It is where the ATF, I've told them it is. But when I got my MP5K full auto machine gun, it was like $30,000. And I paid in cash in $100 bills. The guy said, don't I have to fill out a form? And I said, yes. In fact, I already have a Form 8300 for you filled out, pre-stamped. You fill it out to the Detroit FinCEN office. I filled in my social, name, date of birth, social security number, how much I paid in cash, sent it on off, and nothing more was made of it. Now, if he would have said, hey, I'm not going to file this form, I said, you have to. If you willfully fail to file this form, especially after I told you you need to file this form, that is a crime. And as a FFL dealer, you could lose your FFL license very fast.
But he didn't say that.
He didn't say, well, he said, do I have to file it? Because I don't want the ATF to know I have a bunch of cash. They might say, well, yes, you do, because it's nothing wrong with accepting cash. It's illegal to accept cash and not tell the government you accepted the cash.
Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. More about Hastert here in moments. Brian is on the line in California via Skype. Hello, Brian.
Hey, guys. I had another question that applies to NAP. I was hoping if you guys could help me out.
A question that applies to NAP? You mean the non-aggression principle?
Yes.
Okay.
In particular, how it relates to self-defense. Now, everyone here endorses NAP, probably except me, right?
I think it sounds like a fine sort of baseline for your for morality, and that means that you don't use force or fraud to achieve your means.
Aggressive
force. Yeah.
Okay, so as far as aggression is concerned, it does not preclude self-defense. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Correct. You don't throw the first punch.
Okay. Now, would you guys consider preemptive self-defense, which is kind of contradictory aggression?
It seems like it in most circumstances, but I smell primroses, so I'd like to hear a bit more. But there's an old Roman saying: "Do you crush the serpent while it's in the egg, or wait for it to be born and strike you?" So
exactly,
yeah.
you'll have to resolve that just by looking at the definition of aggression. It fits a definition of aggression, does it not?
What does?
Preemptive self-defense, which is you can't really use that term.
I'm not entirely sure that preemptive self-defense can exist. I think somebody could threaten you. They could say, "I am going to punch you in the face," and then at that point, I feel like they've already violated the non-aggression principle because they've projected what they are going to do. So then you could defend yourself in that way.
I don't know if you can attack somebody just because they say they're going to punch you until they're actually going to draw back and strike you. But let's continue.
Now I've got to be faster than them?
450-FREE. It's Free Talk Live.
The young lady from the rescue delivered happy, and I panicked. He was missing hair, stinky, scabby, and I thought, what did I get us into? The cause of his issue was poor nutrition. It was neglect. The other owners didn't care enough about him to give him the nutrition he needed. But I have a vet that I trust, and she recommended Dinovite, DINOVITE.com. I ordered the first 90-day supply, and within a couple weeks, his skin started clearing up. He didn't smell. He had more energy. He just had a glow and a bounce about him. We've been using Dinovite for the last year, and Happy the rescue dog is Happy the healthy dog. I tell all my friends who have rescues to give their dog the chance at a new start with Dinovite. It's going to pay off for you and your dog for years to come.
859-428-1000.
859-428-1000. DINOVITE.com.
When Dr. Lane Sebring appeared on Fox News and claimed that he could give seniors a second shot at youth, viewers were highly skeptical. But then they saw the proof. Despite being 61 years old, Dr. Sebring is still competing in martial arts competitions against guys half his age and winning. But what's even more remarkable are his lab tests that back it all up. His blood pressure checks in at a healthy 110/78, and his blood sugar never jumps above 70. So what's his secret? Sebring has been using a powerful green drink that he personally formulated called Patriot Power Greens. Patriot Power Greens was originally created to help older guys in the military who are dealing with achy joints and stiff muscles. And for a limited time, Dr. Sebring is letting you try the drink absolutely free. All he asks is that you chip in a few bucks to help cover shipping. To claim your free samples of Patriot Power Greens, go to greens75.com. Greens75.com. Greens75.com.
You can't win if you don't enter, and you actually can improve your chances of winning a prize drawing if you wrinkle up your entry blank. I'm Holland Cook from survivalspeech.com, and I speak from experience. Why this works: if they'll be spinning the drum before drawing, your entry blank will move around more than, and not adhere to, other perfectly flat entry blanks. And if they don't spin the drum and merely reach into a box full of other perfectly flat entry blanks, many of which are sticking together, yours will feel different to the person reaching in. When you win, act surprised. And if you're looking for work, this is a metaphor. For more tips on sticking out in a world where just too much blends into the blah, 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 hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com.
If you want to move to the free state and you're looking for some real estate.
Oof, I think we've all had enough of that jingle, don't you? If you're going to invest in property in New Hampshire, it just makes sense to support a Liberty-friendly realtor. Call Mark Warden of Team Porcupine Real Estate for investment property or rentals in the Free State. Or visit his website. Come on, you know it.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
You can connect with the Liberty Radio Network via our Facebook page at facebook.lrn.fm. That's facebook.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. More on the Dennis Hastert situation on the way, how he attempted to avoid cash transaction reports, got him in some hot water. We'll get some of the background story on that. It's pretty interesting from RT.com. With you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
TJ the Spy.
And Mark.
And want to invite you to check out 101 Reasons Why Liberty Lives in New Hampshire. There are thousands of people who love the ideas of freedom who are moving here to New Hampshire, some of them for the Free State Project, others for the Shire Society, which you can join by signing the Shire Society Declaration at shiresociety.com. But if you're a libertarian, if you're a voluntarist, and you want to be around other people who have a similar mindset as you, this is the place to be. We've got the highest concentration of people who love liberty in one place. So go to 101reasonsfilm.com. Check out the hour-long documentary. It's free to watch on why, if you love the ideas of freedom and you really understand them and you're willing to actually work towards them, you should be here. Go to 101reasonsfilm.com. That's 101reasonsfilm.com. And a lot of the conversations that you'll hear among liberty-minded folks are sort of these, nitpickings on the, what does liberty really mean? Getting into the details on that. And Brian is on the line in California, who's asking us about the non-aggression principle, and specifically, where does aggression end and self-defense sort of begin? Can you defend yourself against aggression without actually being the aggressor, meaning that if the person who's threatening you hasn't actually thrown the punch or pulled the gun, do you have the right to go ahead and hit first? And I think that's kind of where he's coming from on this. But TJ, did you want to jump in here?
Well, I just wanted to say, Brian, you're the only caller I have ever seen where Ian and Mark are about ready to get into a shouting match over what kind of caller you are. And I'm just going, I am not taking sides in this fight. I think you're a great caller, so go ahead.
I think Brian's an intelligent caller, and
I said, is this a meta-self guy?
Unfortunately, he uses his intelligence to justify aggression. But go ahead with your thoughts.
I just think you're short-tempered.
So you're causing my two friends here are actually fighting over you. So I just
it's not my fault.
It's definitely not your fault. It's Mark's fault. He's the one who is yelling.
Yeah.
It's because they're adopting a silly principle and they're trying to make
What's silly about non-aggression?
First of all, were you implying that I was nitpicking?
Well, I
think you definitely are.
Okay. Anyways, it doesn't matter.
That's pretty much what you do. Go ahead.
I really wasn't trying to. Now I lost focus.
Okay, you were calling about aggression, and you'd asked about defending oneself. Can you preemptively strike in self-defense? That was what you were asking about.
Let me add this thing. So, barring any explicit threat of violence, and so you're gonna have to actually define like the line of explicit and implicit, right? So let's just say he has a criminal history. You obviously it's not in accordance with NAP to.
NAP means the non-aggression principle. You got to remember we have people listening who don't know acronyms, and so it's important.
Dozens of radio stations all over America tonight are listening. So
let's just spell it out instead of using the acronym, if you don't mind.
Okay, so barring any explicit threat of aggression, it violates the non-aggression principle to somehow deter him from acting, right? I mean,
yeah. For instance, I was open carrying a gun tonight to the restaurant that we were having social Sundays at, and someone asked me if it was a real gun, and I nodded that it was a real gun. If somebody was afraid that I was going to pull that gun and shoot them, would they have the right to go ahead and shoot me anyway, just because they were afraid that I might do that?
So it's aggression to preemptively self-defend, barring explicit threats.
I would say that for the most part, yeah, it sure is.
Well, I'm going to say that there's certain circumstances, like, for instance, if a person is, like you say, mentally ill and sitting around, say, on their porch playing with a gun, and, if you're going to say that pulling the gun, that the point is pulling the gun, Ian, why not just say that it's pulling the trigger? Like, why can somebody point a gun at you? Why is it okay for somebody to point a gun at you?
It's not okay for somebody to point a gun at you.
Why isn't it okay?
Because that's a threat. That's a threat. If you're pointing a gun at someone, you have to be prepared to kill that thing.
This is another problem.
That's what your daddy taught you.
It's true.
Well,
that's good gun handling.
I
Mark.
get that it's good gun handling, but that doesn't mean that everybody who points a gun at anyone is intending to shoot them.
This is another this is a totally separate problem. I wanted to bring up probably another future show, negligence. Right? NAP doesn't address negligence, which is what Mark's talking about. But what I'm talking about. I'm trying to get you guys to admit, barring any explicit threat of aggression, it's wrong to and barring negligence, right? It's wrong to initiate. It's wrong to initiate force or preemptively self-defend in this case.
Well, we've all said that, but then we've kind of said, well, could you take us down the primrose path and tell us, aha, I got you?
Yeah. Okay. So here's the trap.
Give me the trap.
Okay. Let's spring the trap.
Spring it.
So the problem is punishment fits this definition of preemptive self-defense. The fact that self-defense only applies during the crime, and it ends right after the crime has already been committed. The only reason to punish an aggressor or an already aggressor is to deter future action or to show to make an example of them.
Okay.
In order to defeat future action of other potential aggressors.
Yep, that makes sense.
So you're going to have to resolve this too. I mean, not only negligence, but how does punishment fit into your free market society?
Well, I would say that punishment, if you're going to use it, and I tend to believe it's overused in our.
I support restitution rather than locking someone up.
Well,
that's the whole point.
Hold on, restitution's. It's important to note that if somebody comes and, like, if I hold a gun on you and I take $500 from you, that's different than me bumping your car and creating $500 worth of damage. Would you not agree?
Sure.
That a person who holds a gun on you and takes $500 from you should have to pay you more money than a person who dings your car for $500 worth of damage.
Yeah.
So
here's why this thinking is statist in nature. Right? Now put yourself on a two-man island, right? Just you and your aggressor. He takes your $500. What does it, and let's just put a three-man island, your room, right?
Of course, your money's useless at that point. But let's go to the ridiculous example.
Fine, it's fine. Whatever.
It's not ridiculous.
Yes, it is, and that's usually what you have to do to even make a point against non-aggression.
I have an argument. I have an argument why these extremes aren't. So Mark steals $500 from Ian, and what's the name of the other guy? The third guy?
It's TJ.
TJ the Smile.
Okay. So who's gonna? If Mark can't get the $500 back from himself, what does it mean to say that this Ian deserves to get punished? What? And so that puts like a somewhat of an implicit obligation on TJ to help Mark get that $500 back. You see how statist this is? You lose sense of cost of punishment because it's distributed so dispersely over the rest of society. But when you put it on a three-man island, you see the absurdity here, right?
Well, I don't think that punishment necessarily it should be wrought by by society. So if you're saying prison. It is. I understand that it is. However, I could very easily take who's the thief here, Ian, and put him in jail, and he could do work in jail that would generate enough money to pay for his own care and that sort of thing. If he chose not to work, then he could face the gaping maw of starvation.
Again, your ability is it's not guaranteed that the victim has that ability, right? So what does that mean in that case?
Starvation? Slow, right? Painful death in a prison cell?
What does NAP do in this case?
Hold on, Mark. Are you giving an example on the island or in current society?
I'm
lost completely on where we're switching like back between the island and Real society. Where?
What he's saying is that
we're applying NAP here. We're applying NAP.
The non-aggression principle. Hold that thought, Brian. I'm still. What got me lost, Mark, was that
ding, ding, ding.
He was bringing up this island thing, and then you started talking about locking
There's no
someone
prison
up.
on the island. I'm sorry, I couldn't keep his analogy up.
Okay, all right. So you were switching back to the real
Saved
world.
by the Bell.
I mean, you could have made a prison out of some bamboo shoots and had some monkey guards or something like that. I mean, let's get ridiculous here, because that's what you have to do to indict the non-aggression principle. 855-450-FREE.
Worried about lead, fluoride, and other contaminants in your drinking water? Get a ProPure with the Pro 1G 2.0 cleanable reusable filter and remove up to 200 contaminants. Drink water the way nature meant it to be. Clean, crisp, and refreshing. See the complete line of ProPure products, including the new ProMax shower filter. There's a ProPure for you. Visit your authorized ProPure dealer for details or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com or 800-544-3533.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
Free Talk Live.
There's only one place you could have sex without everybody else knowing about it. That's in the bathroom. Unless you want to go back into the crew quarters, which might give you bonus points. The Mile High Club awards you, I suppose, based on the amount of times that you've entered into the club. Not only do you want to be in the club, you want to be the top dog.
Yeah,
right?
you got to be a premier member.
So I would think there'd have to be points for location on the plane, who you encountered with. Were you there with your girlfriend? Did you take her into the bathroom? Did you manage to get a stewardess into the bathroom with you? Did you manage to get the girl that you just happened to be sitting next to on the plane? I mean, so all of these things could be worth.
Oh, man. To be a part of the Mile High Club, what's the criteria?
You have to
copulate in the air.
Yeah.
What defines copulation? Who has to have an orgasm? Does there have to be an orgasm?
Or do you just have to stick it in and pull it out?
Is it just penetration?
Bam, bam. We're out of here. Mile High Club, give me my card.
Yeah.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless free market non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
Hi, I'm Derek J. To me, an activist's calling is to actively work to advance a cause. The cause for which I work is personal freedom. I believe my life is best when I engage in voluntary interactions and self-government. I reject the idea that anyone else has a higher claim to my life or my body than I do. I see people who call themselves the government as a threat to my personal freedom. I realize you may feel differently, but my relationship with the people who call themselves the government is completely involuntary. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You can join us on the radio waves here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Live Sunday edition of the program. With you in studio, it's Ian.
TJ the Spy.
And Mark.
And we've also got Skype. Skype username is LRN.FM. We're going to go back to Skype, and then we'll talk more about what's going on with Dennis Hastert, the former Speaker of the House, who is in some hot water over some alleged molestations that happened while he was a teacher and slash wrestling coach in Illinois from RT. We'll get back into that. But first, we're going back to Brian, who is in California. He's brought up the question of the non-aggression principle and specifically going after someone who commits aggression, someone who commits a criminal act against another person.
Right.
It sounded like he said that he believes that it's
punishment.
It sounded like he said that he believes that punishment further after, not in the moment, but later on, if you go catch the criminal later, is an act of aggression. And I'd like to say that here's why I don't think that's the case. Even though I'm not an advocate for the punishment model, I'm an advocate for restitution, though some people could call that punishment. I don't think someone should be put in a prison cell if they're willing to restitute their victims. But ultimately, if you do some damage to someone, whether you hurt them personally or you take their property, then you are in debt to that person by that amount plus some for their, the difficulty of what you've created and
punitive.
Frustrations. So the idea is that because you're in debt to that person, or the criminal is in debt to that person, you have as the victim the right to that restitution, which means that you should be able to get that restitution in whatever way is necessary.
First, that's inconsistent, right? You added interest, which is punitive. That's a deterrent.
It's because you've wasted my time. Okay, so it's not just that you stole my whatever it was. You stole my car. You've also made it so I can't go to
aggression.
work.
You're forcing him to pay for restitution.
You can call it aggression if you want to, but I don't think most people would see it that way.
I don't think you've and by the way, Brian, I'm going to say thank you so much for this call. It's been a while since I've had a really good sort of call that's made me think about something, and I appreciate that. But there's no what you haven't made your case for is why a person who, say, robs somebody for $500 at gunpoint should only have to pay $500 back. The fact is that we humans who have sort of agreed on what rights are and what ownership is and all that other stuff, we've come to these conclusions. We also have come to the conclusion that somebody who commits a criminal act versus a civil act, that a person who commits a criminal act should receive some kind of punishment. And you have not made your case to why a punishment is, in fact, aggression.
I thought I did with the island example. Okay, so when it comes to just restitution, if the victim cannot get it back himself, there's no reason why society should get it back for him unless he produces unless he provides more value to society as being a part of it, right? So I have an explanation for restitution, but you guys don't using NAP, right? There's no reason
for non-aggression principle.
On a 3-man island, why would TJ help Mark get his $500 back?
Because he wants help in the future?
Well, for the same reason that I actually, in high school, I helped the captain of the football team with his math homework so he would protect me from the other bullies. So I was under his protection. I help him with his calculus homework. He, in exchange, protects me from getting beaten up in the hallways.
Yeah, some people value having a...
that's rational, but you understand here, you're talking about a reciprocation here. You must receive at least more value than it expends to get
correct. That is a fundamental restitution. Yes. If it wouldn't have been worth more to me, I wouldn't have done it.
That's a condition that always has to be met. Sometimes it cannot be. That's not a guarantee. The condition of getting restituting the victim is not guaranteed to overcome the cost of doing so. And this is the problem. This is the problem that NAP doesn't address. I address it because I believe in free market principles. I believe in exchange, and it doesn't make sense to always restitute.
It sounds like you're making the presumption that we're advocating that society as a whole has to pay for prisons. Have you said that? Is that what your presumption is?
Say that again.
It sounds like you're making the presumption that we believe that society as a whole should have to pay for prisons.
You assume that, and you take it for granted.
No, you're the one assuming that.
I do not assume that.
No, I don't. Do I?
You assume that about us, sir?
Do I endorse restitution all the time?
I don't know much about you, Brian.
No, I don't. Obviously, I don't. Of course,
he hasn't propagated
only when it's
his medicine.
profitable. Only when it's profitable to restitute. So, for instance, when society is going to consider restitution for a victim, it looks at the victim and says, "Is this guy worth it?" Because we want him a part of our team.
They do that all the time because they'll a guy, Keene Police Department, this guy's a dirtbag. We're not going to look for the criminal really hard, or this guy is really popular. We're going to.
there's two reasons, right? There's two reasons first why you go after the criminal. First, one, deterrence, and number two, you want to keep the victim as a citizen of your society. But those two conditions don't necessarily mean that it's worth the cost of doing so. So the case when it's rationally rational to do so is when one eclipses the other. When it's, in other words, when it's profitable.
I think you're presuming that we support society as it is, and we don't. I think that was the point that Mark was trying to make to you.
Yeah,
we want to see radical change to society. And further, if you are buying insurance, then you are paying for a certain level of protection, even if it's not so-called worth it as well. And a lot of people would be interested in insuring themselves.
Well, yeah, like I would have loved to have had bully insurance.
Thanks for the call.
I would have loved to have had bully. Like there's two types of exchanges, and only two types of exchanges: voluntary and involuntary. And so, example of the exchange I made in high school, I thought it was voluntary because I didn't want to get beaten up, and I wouldn't
call it voluntary.
Well, I mean, it was voluntary. My protector and I entered into a voluntary agreement. He was not forcing me. He didn't say, "You help me with my calculus homework, or my buddies are going to beat you up." It was, "Hey, you're the captain of the football team. You're really popular. I know you're having trouble with your homework. I am getting harassed by some of your friends."
You approached him.
I approached him. And he said, "You seem like a nice guy. You're kind of nerdy, but, I said, I understand if you come out as my friend, that would create havoc for you. You're a politician. You got to walk your friends versus..." And so I said, "Well, look, I'm sure we can come to a quiet agreement where I'll help you with your homework. And I'm not going to tell anybody about this agreement because that would cause you to lose social until now." And
well, it's much later. Who cares?
Yeah. But the thing is, he was not forcing me to engage in the agreement. I was not forcing him. We both came to an agreement. He would use his political influence with the fellow bullies to say,
"Hey, leave him alone.
Leave him alone. He's helping me," or "Leave him alone. He's not a great guy."
Yep.
So, what happens when you have a person who is totally unpopular? I say, well, this is the problem with public schools. Why are people being forced to go there? Like a good example, Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold, one of the reasons they initiated that massacre, according to their own words, Columbine High School massacre, in their own words, they said the jocks were beating us up and bullying us.
That's what they said.
And we wanted to exact revenge. And I thought, boy, if only I could go back and said, guys, maybe you could pay the bullies money to not beat you up. Or maybe you could pay me and I would go break the kneecaps. So, there's all kinds of solutions to your problems that don't involve you committing an act of violence. That's the thing. It's like, I wonder if I could actually offer protection services. Like, are you a kid that gets beaten up in high school? Well, for $30 a month, I'll go and talk to your aggressors and say, it would really be a shame if your kneecaps got broken. And is that wrong? I said, well,
if your kids are having that problem in school, you should get them out. I think that's a failure of parenting, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I say, why did we force the bullies? Why did we force the jocks and the Derek and Dills? Why were they being forced to come into conflict with each other?
Because of the state.
Like if one could have been like, "Hey, I'm not coming to school anymore. I don't want to be around these people."
I always love the Onion headline from September 8th, 1999. Columbine jocks safely resume bullying.
So it's funny. So I would like to address sort of what I believe as far as punishment. I think restitution is really the best method. Throwing somebody in jail generally isn't particularly helpful, and it
could make them a worse criminal because they're around a bunch of criminals.
Now, there are some people who are dangerous, right? Like they just keep doing dangerous things over and over.
Psychos, for instance.
Those people probably need to be separated physically from society. So I'm not against prisons from that standpoint, but I think that the people that are in prison probably should be paid what they're worth to do whatever work they do, and that they can then pay their rent while they're at the prisons. That there's a way to do these things. I don't expect life to be really great for them there, but if they're too dangerous to be released into society, then that's where they got to be.
The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. What does free market justice look like? Free Talk Live.
Are you suffering with hearing loss? Are you sick of people constantly complaining that your TV is too loud? Are you tired of asking people to speak up? Would you like to hear more clearly, but you don't want to wear a hearing aid that makes you look old? Then you need to try Listen Clear. a life-changing breakthrough precisely designed by top audio engineers to fit your ear almost invisibly. And you can adjust Listen Clear to find the perfect way to hear everything, wherever you are and whatever you're doing. And right now you can try Listen Clear absolutely free with free shipping. We'll even give you free batteries for life. So call now, 1-800-718-3929. Listen Clear is lightweight and completely hassle-free, and it's practically invisible. Call for your 100% free home trial with free shipping and free batteries for life. For free information, call now, 1-800-718-3929. That's 1-800-718-3929. 1-800-718-3929.
Do you or someone you know suffer from chest pain, blood pressure, cholesterol, or irregular heartbeat? Are you looking for a more natural solution to overcome these health challenges? You hear the ads all the time. If this stuff's so good, why doesn't my doctor prescribe it? That's easy. There's more money in treating symptoms. Extendivite Heart Tonic does want you to be as healthy as you can be, and it really works. Take Extendivite for 6 months and your doctor will say, I don't know what you're doing, but don't stop. It's working for you. Get the dependability of Extendivite. Just see how you feel in 6 months. A 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid is only $69.95 plus shipping and handling. Call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
I'm Ian Freeman, host of Free Talk Live. We've been covering Uber for years on the radio with their ongoing legal cases across the globe defending your right to give people rides without asking government permission. I wanted to support Uber more directly, so I signed up to be a driver. It's fun to meet new people and help Uber push forward innovation. As of this recording, Uber is active in 67 countries, so there's a good chance they're available in your area. If you'd like to drive for Uber and make some money helping people get where they want to go, sign up at drive.freetalklive.com, and you'll get a $100 bonus after you complete a certain number of trips. With Uber, you can drive anytime you want. You set your schedule. To get started, you need a good driving record, 4-door vehicle, insurance, registration, and to pass a background check. It costs nothing to sign up, so visit drive.freetalklive.com. That's drive.freetalklive.com. And if you just want to try Uber as a rider, visit ride.freetalklive.com. Your first ride's free. You can listen to Free Talk Live on the radio, podcast, satellite, webcam, and our live streams. But did you know you can listen to Free Talk Live from any phone, anywhere? Add this number to your phone, 213-493-0308. It's a long-distance call, so make sure you're familiar with your phone's calling plan. The listen lines are airing the latest episode of Free Talk Live 24 hours a day, including our live shows. Call 213-493-0308. That's 213-493-0308.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
Hey, it's Free Talk Live, the live Sunday edition of the show. You can join us here. We'll talk more about Dennis Hastert and the alleged molestation and cash transaction reports, suspicious activity reports, and what exactly got him caught. 855-450-FREE is our toll-free number. With you tonight, you've got Ian.
TJ the Spy.
And Mark.
And we've got Skype. Our Skype username is LRN.FM. If you support Free Talk Live, please become a Free Talk Live amplifier today. AMP stands for Advertise, Market, and Promote. And the idea is $5 a month is what you can send into Free Talk Live via any major credit card through PayPal. You can use Visa or MasterCard, and you can also send us Bitcoin as well. And we can actually invest that $5 a month into the show, helping us get on more radio stations around the country, bringing more internet listeners on board so we can talk about the ideas of freedom with more new listeners and help spread those ideas because they're darn valuable. And more people need to hear about it. So you get perks, too, like access to the AMP-only call-in lines, AMP-only podcast, the AMP-only Facebook group. Go get the details. Get signed up over at amp.freetalklive.com, ampamp.freetalklive.com. Bruce is on the line in North Carolina. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Bruce.
Hello, guys.
Hey there.
I'm kind of going off topic here, but I was listening to your discussion and your answering. I was wondering how you guys feel about the what do you call it? Your personal carry.
The CCW license. Concealed Carry Weapon Permit?
If you have PTSD.
Oh.
Yeah, I think it gets difficult.
The question is, should someone with this be allowed to carry a gun? Is that what you're saying?
That's the question, because there's so many veterans.
Right, there are. And this is a really difficult question to answer, and one that I simply cannot, because I have met a person in my life, more than one person in my life, that I believe to be too mentally ill to be allowed to have a weapon. Have you met a person like that?
I'm sorry, I was changing off getting rid of the old radio. What did you say? You met a person?
I've met a person who was too mentally ill to have in my opinion, to possess a firearm. Have you ever met a person that you felt was that mentally ill?
Come on, you only met one?
Right, I met many. And so that leaves me with, I believe I am capable of judging who should be able to have a gun and who shouldn't. However, when you turn that over to the government, we can see historically. Well, slippery slope's a fallacy, but we can see historically.
This is a slippery slope where you let someone else decide who shouldn't be able to have firearms. All of a sudden, you get more and more people are in that category.
Suddenly, nobody's allowed to have a gun because everybody's crazy, and I do, in fact, believe everybody is crazy. So now we have.
Well, the DSM could probably diagnose someone with something for sure.
That's the Diagnostic Statistics. See, I'm going to use your same logic. The Diagnostic Statistics Manual, 5th edition. That's the official list of all psychiatric diseases. Not everybody knows that, Ian.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
In fact, in Soviet Russia, they did such a thing. They would just classify people mentally ill, send them off to Siberia or whatever to get them out of the way. People are claiming that this is what's going on in California right now around guns. That basically they're just calling everybody crazy and taking their guns away. So I don't have a good answer for you. I'm only saying that some people are too crazy to have a gun, but the government's not the agency, in my opinion, to make that decision.
Fair enough.
Did you have any thoughts you wanted to share, Bruce?
You want to enlighten us?
Well, no, I'm a vet. I'm from Vietnam.
Yep.
Listed with severe PTSD, and it still bothers me quite a bit. And I have a license to carry, a concealed license, and I feel that. How do I feel?
Do you feel you're a danger to your other people or yourself by having a gun?
No way.
Okay.
No way.
So there's not a chance that you'll hear some firecrackers going off, think you're back in the
DMZ,
in Nam,
the Viet Cong,
and pull your gun and start blasting at innocent civilians?
As long as they don't have black pajamas.
I would count that unbelievably unlikely.
Okay.
I mean, it's not that part of PTSD.
Gotcha.
If it were to happen, I could drive my car into somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, I support just allowing people to, make decisions for themselves, and then the more people that are armed, the more safe we'll all be in case someone does go nuts. If more people around that person are armed, then the nuts person will only get so far.
I'm not particularly. Go ahead.
I'm just worried that I think, the president is kind of trying to look that way for some reason before he gets out of office to do something about the Second Amendment.
You think so?
I think so. I know he's talked about it, to get some kind of, not to get rid of the Second Amendment, but to really, let's say, not be on the side of gun holders.
Now, wouldn't he need Congress to go along with him on that?
No, he can do enforcement. He can make enforcement more strict or whatever in certain circumstances.
Actually, it's also I know in Illinois where you need a firearm owner ID card in order to purchase a firearm. And
you don't want to be a gun owner in Illinois. It sounds like
I don't think you can be a gun owner in Illinois.
Idea.
Well, I mention that because if you have been voluntarily committed, so not involuntarily committed, but voluntarily committed to any psychiatric institution, so you go and say, look, I'm a danger to myself or others, please commit me, you are ineligible for 5 years to purchase a firearm or possess a firearm. So, of course, if you're having trouble with depression, PTSD, or anything, it really is a bar to you getting help if you're in a crisis mode. So not all mentally ill people are created equal. Some people are mildly mentally ill where I feel perfectly fine having a firearm, but other people, when the mental illness progresses and they have an episode where they truly become broken and lose touch with reality, those people need to go to the hospital. It's very embarrassing. People don't want to say I wound up in the loony bin, but it's something that's very important to not be ashamed of. I mean, some people, there's nothing wrong with being mentally ill. There seems to be this great stigma in this country that if you have a mental illness, that you're a bad person or you're feeble. What it's really, honestly, some people, for whatever reason, your brain doesn't work correctly, and it's okay to ask for help. There should be nothing wrong with asking and saying, look, I can't control my thoughts or actions, and I need help. And unfortunately, the laws, as the way they're written, mentally ill people, they're like, oh, you were in the loony bin, you're dangerous. No, mentally ill does not mean dangerous. It just means they've lost something that we humans have, the ability to tell reality from fantasy.
And it can be temporary. Try staying up for 5 days.
Oh, yeah.
And, see what happens.
And
you shouldn't be in possession of a gun if that's the case. Hey, thanks, Bruce. I appreciate hearing from you. Thanks for listening to us in Asheville on WWNC. Toll-free number tonight is 855-450-FREE.
Because I'm a felon, I am legally disallowed from having handguns. And they don't.
You can have a BB gun, though, right?
Yes, I could have a BB gun for having varmints and things like that.
Yep.
I do have a air rifle. But I don't carry it around.
And you could carry a really old gun, like a
black
flintlock
powder rifle,
pistol or something.
I couldn't,
right?
Not in this state.
Really?
No. And the only way that you can carry it is if you're going to, say, target practice or for a reenactment.
So you can't just carry it around.
No, you can't just open carry a black powder.
There really needs to be a market for There's so many convicted felons now, and they need to have a way to defend themselves. I would love to have a firearm that is not a firearm. It's maybe instead of using explosive black powder or gunpowder, it uses, say, compressed air. So like a
Benjamin,
paintball.
the Benjamin Bulldog 357. Look that up. It is a air rifle that holds.
Is that thing that shoots like a 50 cal or something like that?
Well, in this case, it's 357.
Okay,
it shoots a 357 round. A
BB,
a third,
a 357 BB
of an inch. It's not a BB. It's a pellet.
Okay, pellet.
And it has a basically what like a revolver, a wheel gun wheel in it, and it holds 5 pellets, and so you have a repeating air rifle that will
CO2.
Yeah, no, it's not CO2.
Pump.
It's you could pump it if you wanted to. You're going to pump a long time.
Yeah,
it is filled up with a scuba tank.
Oh wow, that's badass.
Yeah, so it'll put a round out at about I don't want to quote it at this point, but
do you have to strap the scuba tank to your back, or do you actually attach it to the gun?
It has a little tank in it, and you equalize it through the scuba tank.
Huh.
So anyway, there's things like that. But I'm uncomfortable around handguns. They just bother me a little bit, especially other people with handguns. However, being here in the Free State Project, having moved almost 10 years ago now.
There's people with guns everywhere in New
People
Hampshire.
have guns all the time. And I've noticed over time I'm getting more and more comfortable with the notion. And I haven't seen, up to this point, really anything that makes me too scared.
Yeah, let's go to Tom. He's in Maryland. You're on Free Talk Live with Ian, TJ, and Mark. Hello, Tom.
Hey, guys. Good to talk to you.
Hey, Tom. Go ahead.
Be careful with the air guns. In Baltimore, for instance, local law forbids you from having any type of air rifle.
No fun allowed in Baltimore.
You can have a .357 Magnum in your house, but you can't have a BB gun like you're talking about.
Wow. Really? Yeah, that's dumb.
For that. Absolutely. Anyway, I wanted to talk about what you were discussing earlier about the non-aggression principle.
And I want you to talk about that, but when you have time. Stand by. We're going to bring you into hour number 3. More with Tom in Maryland. Also, more about Dennis Hastert. How did he end up getting in hot water over these suspicious activity reports and the alleged molestations from when he was a teacher and a coach, apparently wrestling coach? Coffin High School in Illinois. 855-450 free allows you to join us live on Sunday.
Free Talk Live is having a huge sale on ads. If you have a local business, contact this station. They'll help you out. But if you do business nationally through a website, a brand, or a call center, Free Talk Live ads are 66% off until April 16th. I can't give you the rates here, but I can tell you the packages are as low as $500. We're on 170-plus stations. We do endorsements. We have a big old online audience. Contact Mark at freetalklive.com. We've never had a sale this big. Mark at freetalklive.com.
Here's a good idea. When you have a legal matter like creating your will or legally setting up a business with a corporation or LLC, you don't necessarily need a law firm. Use LegalZoom.com. At LegalZoom.com, you answer straightforward questions online, and they take care of the rest. They even review your answers for common mistakes and guarantee your satisfaction. Free Talk Live listeners, you'll get 10% off your order by typing in FTL in the referral box at purchase. Don't procrastinate with these important legal documents. LegalZoom.com.
Free Talk Live's had some bumps in the road in the last month, but you've stood by us. To say thanks, we're having a huge sale on ads. 30-second radio ads that play on 170 stations and all live streams, $10. Podcast 30s, $10. Live reads that play on all the podcasts, all the stations, and all the streams, $50. These are sale rates and end on April 16, 2016. Minimum purchases do apply. Contact Mark at freetalklive.com. Bargains like this don't come around every day. Mark at freetalklive.com.
Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster. So be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darrell W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Sunday, April 10th, 2016. Silver is trading at $15.36 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,239 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $423. Antiwar.com reports Iraqi state television is once again claiming a total military victory over the Islamic State and says it is in full control of the Anbar province town of Hit, the second time they've made this claim in less than a month. The town is near Iraq's Ain al-Assad airbase and has been contested repeatedly throughout the war with the Islamic State, with local Sunni tribes often clashing with the Islamic State, and repeated reports that the Islamic State was in the process of abandoning the town on their own when the offensive began. Despite this latest claimed victory, locals say the fighting is still ongoing, though it does appear, at the very least, that civilians trapped within the city are finally being evacuated, weeks after Iraqi military leaflets began falling on the area. An unnamed commander quoted in the state media report claimed the Islamic State has been routed and that within days, God willing, Iraqis will rejoice at the complete liberation of Anbar province. Apart from the virtually destroyed capital of Ramadi, the Islamic State still controls virtually the entire province, Iraq's largest. FPP Radio News is brought to you by Bitcoin Not Bombs. Bitcoin Not Bombs is a launching pad for nonprofits and social entrepreneurs into the financial freedom of the Bitcoin economy. Bitcoin Not Bombs is fully committed to being the hub of the nonprofit sector of the Bitcoin economy, maximizing the potential cross-promotion of all our clients and commercial partners. To learn more, visit bitcoinnotbombs.com. UPI reports the cost to mail a letter will drop by 2 cents starting this weekend, a change the U.S. Postal Service opposes, saying it will cost about $2 billion in revenue. The new cost of a first-class stamp will be 47 cents. It stood at 49 cents for the last 2 years after the Postal Service said it needed to raise prices after a decline in revenue during the 2008 recession. The Postal Service is governed by the Postal Regulatory Commission and is a financially independent federal agency, meaning it must raise its own own money to operate and does not receive tax dollars directly. The Commission approved a temporary 2-year increase in the price of stamps to help the United States Postal Service make back some of its losses after the recession. Postmaster General Megan Brennan said the agency applied to make the price increase permanent, but the commissioners declined. In addition to the reduction in price for first-class stamps, international letters will drop from $1.20 to $1.15, and postcards will drop from 35 to 34 cents. The reduction affects commercial shipping rates as well. The changes go into effect on Sunday. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports several employees of a Burger King fast food restaurant in Minnesota were persuaded by a prank caller posing as a fire official to smash the restaurant's windows, having been convinced that rising gas pressure was threatening to cause an explosion. Police Captain Tom Howley said police in the Minneapolis suburb of Coon Rapids were dispatched to the scene Friday night after someone at a gas station next door called emergency services to report what appeared to be an act of vandalism in progress. The restaurant manager told arriving officers that she had just received a phone call from a man identifying himself as a fire department official who seemed to have a working knowledge of a commercial fire safety system, which he asked her to check, according to Howley. After quickly ushering out the handful of customers who were present at the time, the manager and 3 other employees ran out to their car, grabbed tire irons and other objects, and began smashing all the glass ringing the building. By the time authorities arrived, the employees had shattered virtually all the ground floor windows, causing several $1,000s in damage. One worker suffered minor cuts and was treated on the scene by medics. Firefighters called to the restaurant checked the building but found no traces of leaking gas, and the incident was confirmed to have been a hoax. On Saturday, the smashed windows of the Burger King in Coon Rapids were still boarded up, but the restaurant was open for business, according to Howley. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
I always dreamed of providing the nation with concise recaps of the week's events. One fateful summer in 1934, legendary onion mogul T. Herman Zwiebel was passing through our town to acquire an oil derrick when he overheard me calling in the oxen in my breathy baritone and offered me the opportunity of a lifetime. Yes, from the turbulent war times of the 1940s.
The Onion welcomes the majestic Axis armies as conquering heroes.
To the free-spirited 60s. And remember, there's nothing more cosmic than keeping your house insulated with Thermoflake brand asbestos. I can truly say I've been here for the turning of the ages. But now, viewers, my beautiful 19-year-old wife and I will take our much-deserved retirement to my Genevan chateau. I wish all of my detractors empty, destitute lives. And for my allies, I hope for all the pleasures availed by heaven. So, finally, let me say one last time, for more, keep checking theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, launching into the third hour of the program. We're coming up here about Dennis Hastert, former House of Representatives Speaker. During the Bush administration, he's in some hot water over some alleged molestation from years ago and also some bank transactions that brought it all to the forefront. We'll tell you more about that on the way tonight. With you in studio, you've got Ian.
TJ the Spy.
And Mark.
But we're going to continue with your calls and thoughts. We'll go to Tom in Maryland, who we just brought on at the very end of the last hour. Barely had a chance to get much out. So go ahead, Tom. What did you want to call about here tonight? Go ahead.
Well, the non-aggression principle, and I wanted to comment about TJ. He's a fascinating guy. I love when he's on, as I've commented to you before.
Thanks.
I'm glad you're back. I'm glad, Ian, you're back. And, Mark, it's always good to talk with you. I had to laugh, though, earlier when he said the two of you were kind of getting into a bit of a heated discussion about that off air, because I'm quite certain he knows this. I've been listening to him long enough to know that he's quite astute when it comes to legal issues. And he knows that And he didn't volunteer this, and I think he wanted to gin the two of you up a little bit. So I wanted to let you know and fill you in on what he's not telling you. And correct me if I'm wrong, TJ, but you do know this, that the pointing of a weapon or the presentation of a person in a fighting stance, balling up his fist, and telling you he's going to hit you, that's the assault. In fact, two of you guys were talking a couple of weeks ago. I wasn't near a phone, and they were having a hard time wrapping their heads around this whole assault issue. And you have to remember there's two parts to it. There's the assault that takes place upon the presentation of, for instance, balled up fist, a fighting stance, and some other aspect that would give reason to believe that the person is going to attack you. And that in and of itself is a crime. Now, if they were to follow through with it, that would be the battery. So there's two aspects to that. And each is a crime in and of itself. So if someone doesn't have to actually batter you in order to commit the crime of assault. So you have to keep that in mind. So,
and you're a former law enforcement officer, by the way.
Right.
Okay.
And so as far as the non-aggression principle is concerned, you certainly have the right to react once the assault has taken place because the crime has taken place. So, for instance, you brought up the point of someone sitting on the porch and pointing a gun at you. That's assault by pointing. They don't have to shoot you. They've already committed the crime. And you could actually shoot them if you believed truly that they were intending.
And it seems reasonable. The only point I'm trying to make up here is that we as human beings have decided what threatening is. So threatening is, I agree that pointing a gun at somebody is threatening, but the fact that you point a gun at somebody does not mean that you necessarily are going to shoot them. You shouldn't point a gun at somebody if you do not intend to shoot them. But and honestly,
anyone who has a gun pointed at them is within their rights to do something.
I'm of that opinion, absolutely.
No.
That
well,
in fact,
hold on.
If you shoot all the people that point a gun at you, then people will stop pointing guns at people.
No. If you're in a felony traffic stop situation and the officer's pointing his gun at you, no, you do not have the right to fire back.
Oh, you're talking about average people.
Average. I mean, and it also comes down to just because I point a gun at you. I mean, if I'm doing it in a joking manner, like if it, I mean, that's
never a joke.
Well,
it's never a joke to point a gun at somebody.
Well, here's the thing. I've seen people, they have a toy pistol, one of those air rifles, and I'm going to kill you, you son of a bitch, and they too clearly know to each other, they know that they're not threatening one another. But
if you do that around someone who doesn't know, there's a pretty dangerous thing to do.
That's a dangerous thing to do, but I would say at worst it would be disorderly conduct. In other words, you should have known that this was going to provoke alarm or panic in someone who saw the situation. But as far as a lot of these laws come down to what did the person intend. So, for example, if a person drives by and they just fire at our house, but they're not aiming at me in particular, it could be assault and battery. It could be reckless endangerment. It could be attempted murder. It all depends on what was in the guy's mind. If he thought there was aliens, then he's not mentally competent. He can't be charged with anything if he's not mentally competent. So this is what the law struggles with. What was going through your mind when you took the act? So not only what did you do, but why did you do it? And that's what jurors are frequently...
We don't know what they have in intention of doing, so I certainly would charge them with all of the above and take it from there. Now, certainly you have to have a reasonable belief that someone intends to do you harm. Otherwise, for example, I probably would be less several family members and friends if I shot everyone who, in a goofy manner, pointed a gun at me because they're just silly and stupid and didn't know what they were doing. People do that all the time because they're not educated in proper handling of firearms. So, you don't want to shoot everyone who does that, but certainly a stranger pointing a gun at you, again, that's assault by pointing, and we always, and I'm going back, I'm last century cop, and we never pointed our weapons at someone. And we were taught was, again, and still is, assault by pointing. I don't know why cops are pointing their guns at people. It's probably a big reason why they're shooting more people. We always got them at the ready, down down, pointed at the ground or in the air. We didn't point our guns at people. That's dangerous. Accidents happen.
Sure do.
And many shootings by police these days are happening by accident, and they're covering it up, saying they felt threatened. You just don't want to take that chance, and that's one of the problems that we have with law enforcement these days.
As always, good call. Thank you, Tom, for making it tonight. I appreciate it. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Let's go to James in Arizona.
Let the fun begin. Ladies and gentlemen, it is James from Arizona.
Hello? Hello, James in Arizona. Going
James, come on. We're ready for you. Come on.
Going twice. All right, well, he had his chance. Sounds like he was watching TV or something like that.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Ian, you are a fake minister. You are a fraud and a phony. Mark, you are a murderer. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Yeah,
there.
That's what it's all about.
Okay, there you go. That was a pretty good impression.
I feel better.
You weren't drunk enough,
voice.
though. You weren't drunk enough.
Well, I can't do his voice. I'm still learning.
You can't call him drunk, otherwise you've aggressed against him, and he's going to have to call about it for months in the future.
So back to Dennis Hastert. What happened? Well, apparently he was making $9,000 deposits in his bank account, withdrawals from his bank account to pay out to one of his alleged victims, and in this supposed molestation that happened decades ago. And apparently by late 2014, he had taken a total of $1.7 million out of 3 different accounts. When he was confronted by the FBI over these withdrawals, because again, what happened was, for those of you who are just tuning in, taking less than $10,000 out on purpose is basically called structuring.
Yes, Title 31, Section 5324.
And he was making a $9,000. So it was pretty easy to see that pattern, and it was obvious that he was trying to avoid the $10,000
Yes,
limit.
it's not illegal to pay a bribe, or not. Bribe is the wrong word, because that's legally you're trying to buy influence with a public official.
Hush money. Hush money.
Yeah, it's not illegal to play blackmail money. If somebody's blackmailing you, this would be what the guy is. If you commit a crime and you say
it may
somebody,
not have even been blackmail. It may have been like, oh, hey, look, I'll just give you this to keep quiet. He might have been
to make the accusation. That is not generally unlawful for you to pay somebody to not say something. So it is illegal, though, if your intent was to avoid a currency transaction report. So
which apparently it was.
And the big mistake he made was not paying the bribe. His big mistake was talking to the FBI in the first place.
Yep. He was confronted over the withdrawals. He told the agents he'd made them because he was being extorted by a former student from Yorkville who claimed he had sexually assaulted him. Taking him at his word, the FBI told Hastert they wanted to record phone calls between him and the person, who turned out to be individual A. But it became clear to investigators that Hastert had, in fact, abused the person, and individual A wasn't, in fact, extorting him. It transpired that after having spent decades trying to deal with what had happened to him as a teenager, individual A asked Hastert for $3.5 million as restitution for the abuse, and Hastert agreed to pay him to keep quiet. We'll tell you more about the story here, and you can join us with your thoughts. 855-450-FREE. It's Free Talk Live.
Today, how to incorporate your business in just 10 minutes so you won't lose everything if you get sued. Step 1, stop putting it off. If you're not incorporated and someone sues your business tomorrow, it's not just your business at risk. You can lose everything: your home, your car, even your life savings. Step 2, call the following number for a free 10-minute incorporation guide from Incorporate.com. 1-800-975-5269. They don't provide legal or financial advice. They just make incorporating quick and easy. So you can incorporate or form an LLC in just 10 minutes. That number again is 1-800-975-5269. Step 3, congratulate yourself. By taking just 10 minutes to incorporate your business or form an LLC, you protected your home, your car, and your life savings. And that is how you incorporate your business in just 10 minutes. But hurry while they're still giving away these 10-minute incorporation guides for free. Call 1-800-975-5269. That's 1-800-975-5269.
I'm Nick Soboleski, a Select Quote agent with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a $300,000 group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and can't take it with him. Well, I impartially shopped the highly rated term life insurance companies we represent and found Ray, who is 41 and takes medication to control his cholesterol, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $26 a month. That's almost twice the coverage for less than half of what he had paid. If SelectQuote hasn't shopped for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 1-800-403-4885. That's 1-800-403-4885. 1-800-403-4885. Or go to SelectQuote.com. We shop. You save. Get full details in the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free, at apps.lrn.fm.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
Free Talk Live, dial toll free to join us here. The number's 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype username LRN.FM. Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. You can check it out. It's a documentary film made here in our very own Keene, New Hampshire, about our friend Derek J, arrested 5 times in a 1-year time frame for no victim, no crimes, no actual victims. And you can check out his documentary, victimlesscrimespree.com. It's super entertaining and a lot of fun, and sad in some parts as well. Victimlesscrimespree.com. You'll laugh, you might cry, but it'll be worth it because, well, you didn't have to pay a dime to watch it. It's all free. Victimlesscrimespree.com. As we continue here, more about Dennis Hastert, who is in some hot water for cash transaction reports that he attempted to avoid, which resulted in suspicious activity reports being filed. The FBI then determining that he was actually withdrawing cash from his bank accounts in order to pay off a $3.5 million agreement with one of his alleged victims from decades past when he was a teacher and a coach at a high school in Illinois. Hastert's lawyer said the politician is profoundly sorry for what happened and has asked the court to take into consideration the public shame that the ex-speaker has endured, as well as his work in the public sphere and ill health.
Right.
When sentencing him.
He's done a really good job molesting students in school, and then he went on to find greater positions of power.
I'm just a little upset. I mean, how much did these victims? Heck, if I could get $1 million from my high school wrestling coach, I mean, call. I'm just like, I'm going, what exactly was the crime here? I mean, I agree that there was a crime committed back in '81, but statute of limitations has run, so he can't be charged. 2,
it's a suspicious activity report.
But he could
crime.
still, as a politician, be accused, sir, these accusations, these truthful accusations. So I'm going to assume he really did engage in what they accused him of. And so he entered into a voluntary agreement with another individual. I will not tell the public the truth. In exchange, you give me $3 million in cash. And what's really ironic is if Dennis Hastert would have just given $50,000, fill out the CTRs.
He could have just cut a check for $3 million, right? He could have just cut that check and it'd have been done.
Been done with it. And especially if the FBI came knocking, if he would have said, agent, I would love to talk to you, but unfortunately my attorney has said I can't say anything, he would not be going to jail. So I'm really going... I think a lot of the public right now, they're going, let's throw him in jail because he's creepy and he committed a crime, and we can't punish him for the crime he actually committed because the statute of limitations run. So we're going to throw the book at him for structuring.
That's the thing here. Structuring, to my mind, is certainly a victimless crime, right? You're just talking about a crime of numbers, a crime of, by the books.
You didn't fill out a piece of paper.
Yes. And so from that perspective, he shouldn't be charged. But he's a politician who wanted to create this crime. So it is fun to kind of watch politicians die by their own hand in this particular case, because he was the one who pushed for the Patriot Act, which had the very provisions under which he is now being charged. So there's something particularly delicious about that. And normally I don't engage in schadenfreude, but when it comes to politicians getting theirs, their just desserts, it's hard to feel sorry
especially
for
by
them.
a law that they
created.
Yeah.
Well, remember, there's no way for anybody to comply with. I mean, how many of you listening know that if you're running a business and somebody comes in and they buy $1,000 widget today and $1,000 widget tomorrow and $1,000 widget, and they do that over the course of 10 days, how many of you know that you should fill out a Form 8300 with the IRS, and that if you fail to do so, you could have all your assets forfeited under civil asset forfeiture, or even in charge with the crime, Title 31, Section 5324? I mean, it's one of these things. There are so many laws.
Yeah, it's true.
There is no way any innocent law-abiding citizen could possibly know what the laws are, because there's over 100,000 pages of them. That's just the United States Code, not even the Code of Federal Regulations, not even the administrative regulations. So the agencies themselves, when you say, can I do this or can I not do this, they frequently don't even know.
Prosecutors say that Hastert's ascension in politics was only possible because he was able to keep his secret under wraps, and that his, quote, legacy of sexual abuse and its real consequences are as much a part of the defendant's history and characteristics as those he has presented to the court, unquote. Finally, RT points out that in 1998, Mr. Hastert was a keen advocate of impeaching then-President Bill Clinton over his affair with Monica Lewinsky, telling Congress at the time that Clinton had, quote, abused the powers of his office in an attempt to cover up his wrongdoing and abused and violated the public trust. Let's go to John in Nevada. He's on Skype. Hello, John.
Hi, guys.
Hey there.
I was calling about the non-aggression principle.
Yes,
and the best analysis I've seen of this was done by philosopher Michael Huemer. He's been on your show. He gave a talk where he dealt with this at length at PorcFest a few years ago, and you can see it on YouTube. It's called A Common Sense Defense of Libertarianism. And what he points out is that the NAP is often held to be an absolute moral principle, but even the people who hold it that way don't really believe it. That almost everybody believes that small rights violations can be justified by very large benefits. So it is sometimes
Give me
all right to
example.
An example. Well, for instance, normally it's wrong to break into someone's house and take their food, right?
Yep.
But he gives an example of you're lost in the forest and you come across a house, you're far from civilization and you're starving. Can you break into the house and take some food? And he would say,
yes.
Most people agree you can do that, even though it is aggression by conventional.
But of course, the right thing to do is to restitute whoever owns the house later on. After you've survived, you come back and bring them some food or money or whatever.
Hopefully fix what you've broken and clean up while you're there.
Well, maybe so, but we already agreed that it is aggression.
Yeah, we did.
To break into someone's house and take their food.
Sure. So
it was aggression, and nevertheless, we agreed that you should do it in those circumstances.
We did.
I could give, if you want to see like actual physical aggression, I could give another example. Say there's a half a dozen kids trapped in a burning building, and I have to call the police, the fire department, and they can be saved if the call is made immediately. But there's only one phone available, and it's TJ's. He has a cell phone, but he won't give it to me for some reason.
Yes.
So if I wrestle the phone away from him, if I wrestle the phone away from him, call 911, call in the fire, and then give him back his phone, clearly I've aggressed.
Yeah.
But also, clearly it's something I should do.
I think that in any of those circumstances, you're right, but also you have to understand you are taking liability. You should be held liable for whatever damage and destruction that you do. So if you're willing
but you'd be liable by the judgment of an arbiter or a jury, and most people would say, most arbiters and most juries would say, yeah, you owe TJ a penny. And then, I fork over the penny and say, all right, everybody, you're made whole. Goodbye. Like that's how that
I
would
wouldn't
go.
say that. I would say if you hurt TJ, you owe him his hospital bills. You stole something from him, and that's not okay, no matter what the reason was.
No one's going to go to your arbitration service. Maybe TJ should have forked over his phone.
Well, that's the thing is we have what are laws. I say laws are just attempts to write down in formal computerized language what we humans all agree should be the morally correct thing to do. The problem comes is there's always these exceptions to the general rule, and that's why we have juries to say, look, these were the set of circumstances, this is what he did, should the guy be punished, and if so, what should the punishment be?
Hey, John, thanks for the call tonight, man. I appreciate it. Toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Skype username is LRN.FM. You can join us here on the live Sunday edition. This is Free Talk Live.
This is Dan Pilla. Do you owe the IRS money you can't pay? Are tax debts crippling you? I've defended people from the IRS for over 30 years. I've helped thousands, and I can help you too. I wrote the book on IRS settlement, and I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a hopeless case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX to finally get free of IRS debt. With the IRS's new programs, there's never been a better time to solve your problem. Call 800-34-NO-TAX. That's 800-34-NO-TAX, or my website, danpilla.com.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Sling bow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of sling bow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Friday, gold is $5 lower at $1,236 per ounce. Silver is even at $15.29 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $422 US. You don't have to offshore your cash to protect it from a sinking dollar. Consider investing in gold and silver instead. Give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com. Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, But now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. I know this sounds unbelievable, but at my house, we saved as much as 45% off of a new item on Amazon. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, and you can join us live Sunday edition. Bring up whatever's on your mind. There's been a lot of talk about the Dennis Hastert situation, but that's certainly not all there is in the news. New York has passed a machete criminalization measure, keeping you safe from gardening and cutting paths in the forest.
Well, they already have an nunchaku ban, so that was actually a thing. 2 sticks with a piece of string between them, that will actually get you a criminal charge in New York City.
Yeah, New York's a terrible place. Now, this is the entire state of New York. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE.
In New York City, at the very least, a knife that is not that's not stiff enough will get you in trouble too. If you can flick a knife,
floppy knife.
Yeah, if you can flick a knife open, if the police officer can flick your knife open.
Yeah.
And I had never even heard of this, but now I've got my knives sort of set so that I can flick them open with one hand. You just turn the screw a little bit in them, and then they're a little flippier.
Sweet.
Yeah, and so click.
It's legal
as opposed to a switchblade where you hit the button, it goes chink like a little stiletto.
Now hold on. As a felon, is it legal to have a knife?
Yes.
Okay. In New Hampshire?
Right. That was explained to me. I had an attorney address that issue with me.
Is it a certain blade length or?
No, it's the employment of that knife in a deadly fashion is the issue. So I thought that a knife was always listed as a deadly weapon. However, I cannot possess a slingshot, a billies, which is just a stick.
What about the cane sword?
No cane swords.
That's just a big knife.
No dirk. It's just a pointy piece of metal.
I just remember there's actually a federal law called the Violent Offender and Body Armor Act. Basically, convicted felons who are convicted of a violent crime cannot have body armor.
I believe they have to have a note from their employer.
Yeah, there is an exception.
Now, wait a minute. Hold on. What if you don't have an employer? You are a minister with the Shire Free Church. Could I write you a note and then you could start wearing body armor?
Oh, I already typed it up and had my wife sign it.
Perfect.
Yeah,
she's basically your boss.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go to Tim. He's in Wyoming. Tim, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, Jess. Thanks for taking my call.
Yes,
I appreciate it. Now, you're talking earlier about the non-aggression principle, so I won't call it the NAP or whatever, but the non-aggression principle. You're saying, unless I'm mistaken, the question you asked, and I'm not mistaken about this. The question you asked earlier, maybe half an hour ago, was what would justice look like in a free market society? Now, I'm reminded of the Old West essentially, because the law enforcement of the day was that while there was justice, everybody carried a pistol on their hip or a shotgun or whatever they carried. They carried something to take care of business right then and there, or they hired somebody to do it. They made sure that there was a general consensus of the city, of the county, of the whatever, of the municipality of whatever type, that they had a law enforcement or peace officer, a real peace officer, not a law enforcement officer, which is what we have today, but a peace officer, somebody who would break up the bar fights and just tell people to go home, or you walked off with somebody else's horse. Well, maybe that's Grand Theft Auto today, but not necessarily. Okay, you just came out of the bar and you grabbed the wrong horse by accident. Well, okay, the horses are well trained enough you can take the horse with you. Okay, you accidentally have somebody else's horse. We'll just take care of it, as in you give the horse back. It doesn't become a big issue where you go to court or maybe get hanged over it. So, but I was just going to say, I mean, that's basically what I would say. That's where free market justice that would be the epitome of free market justice. That's where, and not only that, I mean, you could take care of business in a deadly fashion on your own, or you could have hired somebody to do it for you. So that was a question you asked earlier, so I was just basically answering that. But I mean, as far as I'm thinking of the thing on Dennis Hastert, he was just trying to cover up. I mean, and are they going to try and say that sitting in a lazy boy chair is a crime now too? Or I'm kidding about that.
Well, it is if you have creepy intentions. I mean, a lot of crimes, it comes down to, no, seriously, if I'm sitting in the lazy boy chair looking at these people, I mean, I wouldn't do that. I mean, that's why I don't want to be a public school teacher, because that's the last thing I would want to be accused of. But if he's doing that with legitimate intentions of protecting his students, that's considered good. But if he's doing it because he wants to ogle over the boys naked, that's bad. So it's a lot of the problems with the law comes down to we're going to criminalize what your thoughts are, and it's up to the jury to determine what's going through your head. Unfortunately, we don't have the thought ray machine yet that can actually extract your thought engrams and say this is what you were thinking.
That's a scary idea, and hopefully that won't ever happen. Because then it's opening a big Pandora's box.
Right, print out everybody's thoughts every day. You know when in the Chinese labor camps, the slave camps, basically, they make the people who are in those camps write down their thoughts every day. They make them cut grass with scissors, and then every hour or so they have to write down their thoughts during that hour.
Really?
It's oh yeah, that's a general practice in some of the political
in the re-education camps.
Man, in 2 hours I can think of so many things. I don't know that I'd be able to recall all of them.
But the things you could think of here in a free society, in a free country, I mean, free in quotation marks, okay, in a country like we live in today, the things you could think about today would be it wouldn't be like, am I going to be able to eat after this hour is over?
Yeah, they're probably thinking about eating a lot.
Right. Will my family be killed because of what I'm doing here? Will my neighbors all be sent to the same kind of camps as I'm in because they may have accidentally heard what I said? Or maybe the whole neighborhood just gets eliminated. I mean, that's a Stalinist kind of view, or it's a Maoist view, really. I mean, if they decided that you said something wrong, who knows who could have heard it? You could have said it in the bathroom and echoed in the stalls, and maybe it went through the ventilation system, and then somebody in an office on the other side of the building heard it, and then he talked to somebody else, and the whole building gets demolished just for that, maybe just because. And I was just saying, it's that's a kind of ridiculous thing. But there was another thing I was going to bring up too, and which I can't.
Yeah, call us another night. Thanks for the call, Tim. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And TJ, you were so disappointed that James in Arizona
I have
earlier...
See, this is what I love about being on the show. It's like I am the judge. I can grant an appellant an appeal.
Judge TJ.
So I am granting a writ of habeas corpus and allowing the next caller, even though he failed to show up to court, so I issued a warrant for his arrest and then had my goon squad go out and beat him up and bring him back before me. So I said, no. We're not going to do things. In my courtroom, if somebody wants a second chance, I'm willing to entertain them. So James from Arizona, we are bringing you back, sir, and hope you... Oh, yes.
Habeas jerkus, deliver the jerk.
Oh, you don't need to resort to name calling.
Oh, you
Mark.
mean beforehand?
Yeah, go ahead, James.
May I? Is it my turn? I was speaking of dying one's own hand, Minister Freeman. How about taking your little finger off the dump button for a second? Because I would love to shake your hand and take you to the mat and literally rip you apart, T-Gay, the liar that you are. I know you fancy yourself an intellectual.
Is that a threat, James?
I'm not. I don't feel threatened. Please don't arrest him because I don't feel scared. I mean, I just don't feel afraid.
T-Gay knows that two wrestlers. T-Gay knows when two people meet in the middle of a mat, they have to shake each other's hands.
Yeah,
so you're challenging him to a wrestling match. You're challenging him to a wrestling match?
Queer. I know you're a skinny white boy, Ian, but yeah, There are other people that like to fight.
Believe me, I have tried to get Ian to sleep with me so many times. James agrees with me. Not you, James. My boyfriend, James, agrees with me that Ian's pretty smoking hot. And so, I mean, the problem is that Ian is very, very much a heterosexual. And so I've seen him naked a few times, but, you know, it's Renee, and I says, yeah, you want that, don't you? Renee is his current girlfriend. And I say, yes, of course I do, but he's straight. So I've tried my best. I've cooked for Ian. I have, I've tried everything I can to seduce him. Unfortunately, he is just unforgivably heterosexual, and I totally am fine with that. If
That's
he wants
not
to,
necessarily true, TJ. I mean, you know,
well, for video
I told
games,
you that if
video games, and you're, that's.
I would say on the Kinsey scale, because everybody's somewhere on the Kinsey scale, right? Like,
so you're maybe a 1.
Very few people are all the way one direction or the other.
I think it goes down to 0, actually.
Yes, it goes down to 0.
Which
So he's like
direction
a
is
1.
which? I don't know.
6 would be me. 0 would be like totally straight. So you're probably a 1.
And what's the highest level
6.
for gay? 6?
Oh, that's 7. Okay.
Thanks, James, for the call tonight. I don't know what your point was, but I don't really care. 855,
You're a poopy head.
450 free. It's Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live is having a huge sale on ads. If you have a local business, contact this station. They'll help you out. But if you do business nationally through a website, a brand, or a call center, Free Talk Live ads are 66% off until April 16th. I can't give you the rates here, but I can tell you the packages are as low as $500. We're on 170-plus stations. We do endorsements. We have a big old online audience. Contact Mark at freetalklive.com. We've never had a sale this big. Mark at freetalklive.com.
Here's a good idea. When you have a legal matter like creating your will or legally setting up a business with a corporation or LLC, you don't necessarily need a law firm. Use LegalZoom.com. At LegalZoom.com, you answer straightforward questions online, and they take care of the rest. They even review your answers for common mistakes and guarantee your satisfaction. Free Talk Live listeners, you'll get 10% off your order by typing in FTL in the referral box at purchase. Don't procrastinate with these important legal documents. LegalZoom.com.
My name is Don Wiskin. In 1994, I lost my 62-year-old father to complications of bypass surgery. In 1977, my 44-year-old brother was found dead in his apartment. He suffered a heart attack. In January of 98, my mother had a stroke and passed away in her bed. 21 days later, my 53-year-old brother passed away on his arrival to the hospital. He waited too long. In June that same year, I almost joined them at 42. What did I do? I took a 7-herb formula, and now called Extendivite, made from garlic, cayenne, bilberry, ginkgo biloba, hawthorn, milk thistle, and valerian. Based on German studies of natural medicine, Extendivite is designed to clear blocked arteries, clean the toxins from your blood, and improve your immune system. To get your Extendivite, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website, heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Money, power, and respect are all yours at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Be seen as an industry leader. You can do it. The last application you filled out when it was time to hit submit, did your nerves spike? You didn't get the approval you seek, but there's a better way. We teach you exactly what to place into the right systems the right way the first time so you get approved. Get up to $100,000 in instant business credit. Many people will get cash on the spot. Use those 2 tools in your new corporate credit engine so you can walk into the bank and get your project funded today. It's all about today at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Credit Success Secrets Revealed is explosive and ignites instant results. Dial 1-800-707-8719. That's 1-800-707-8719. 1-800-707-8719. Or just go to CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com. Ross Ulbricht was convicted in early 2015 of running the infamous Silk Road Underground Market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross has been sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Now, an appeal is Ross's only chance, and he needs your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live, and you can join us on the radio waves here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Joining you in studio, you've got Ian,
TJ the Spy,
and Mark.
And don't forget, you can join us online. Drop by freetalklive.com. Enjoy the features on the site. And if you want to help support Free Talk Live, get your shopping done through shop.freetalklive.com. There's Amazon Canada, Amazon UK, Amazon US. You click into the right Amazon for you. The links are all there at shop.freetalklive.com, and Free Talk Live will get a portion of your purchase price. So whatever it is that you need to buy, go and do it through shop.freetalklive.com, and Free Talk Live will benefit. To the phones, to the fun. Roby is on the line in California, or is it Robbie? I'm not sure. Robbie?
Hi, TJ.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, I know you fancy yourself.
You know what? You're only allowed to call one time per night. So apparently you faked a voice to get through our phone screener. But,
successfully.
You know, if you'd kept the fake voice up, I wouldn't have known. That was actually...
You know, I have to give James props for ingenuity, because most people are just not that persistent. But I have to say, I truly admire it. Just the I don't think I've ever had anybody use a fake voice before.
Oh, persistence is it's indicative of mental illness. I mean, mentally ill people often are quite persistent.
According to the board op, he called incessantly last night. And just kept, I guess he kept calling and like not saying.
What did you do to his Cheerios, Ian? Did you take a dump in his Cheerios or
That's
something?
what Ian does. That's what his job is.
I swear, Ian creates more people. I'm just like, okay, Ian, so-and-so's mad at him. I'm like, okay, what'd you do, Ian? Because I'm just like, there are too many people that are mad at you for you. I always wonder, Ian, do you actually do this on purpose, or do you actually are just, you're honestly trying to help people get the ideas of liberty?
You know what it is you just, if you are who you are and you're public about it, then people get angry. So if you take a position that's, some people are going to be upset about publicly, then some people are going to be angry. I mean, it's just how it is. You get targeted if you put yourself out there.
I don't know, because like yesterday I went Robin Hooding, and that's where you put money in the expired parking meters.
That's right.
So they don't get parking tickets.
It was your first time this year, right?
Yeah, first time this year because of the weather. And so I had on my Robin Hood t-shirt. I had on the Robin Hood hat with the feather in it. And one lady said, "Oh, I like the hat. Are you feeding the meters?" And it said "parking meter feeder" on my shirt. And she gave me some like 50 cents to help feed the meters. And another guy, he said, "Oh, thanks, dude. You got my meter." And
most of the response is positive, but if you keep it up, you'll get some negative response.
Oh yeah, like I was running along, and I said my excuse is I'm a little chunky, so I was trying to get into a running mode. But a lot of people are like, "What the heck's going on? That man has a funny hat." Like, honestly, that's what a lot of people went. The only criticism I got was, "Oh, there's some guy with a funny hat."
Well, your boyfriend had a guy take a swing at him one time.
Yeah, and so poor James has been traumatized, and so part of my therapy is to get him out Robin Hooding again and say,
I think that's a wonderful idea.
Yeah. Well, because most people are very polite, and so if someone wants to take a swing at him, well, I got an ace up my sleeve. I won't say what it is, but like I said, look, violence is not a good idea. I don't start violence. I don't like using violence.
But
because
I finish it.
Well, don't start a fight and finish it.
Hey, let's go to Rustin. He or she is on the line via Skype. Where are you at, Rustin? That's hilarious.
No, I would prefer more the sexual noises. I like when someone calls and they start playing all the sexual tracks.
Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. But yeah, I'm glad to hear Robin Hooding is coming back because it's sort of fallen off the radar to some extent over the last year, basically due to the fact that the majority of the Robin Hooders sort of moved on to other things in life.
Well, and also, you guys have won all the court cases.
No, not yet. The city is coming back for round number 4.
We're going to the Supreme Court
again.
One more time.
How many of the people that were originally?
But we have one, yes.
Originally charged, sort of in this Robin Hood case, still live in Keene.
Me, James, and Graham Colson. So
Graham's still here.
Yes.
Okay. I didn't think anybody even talked to him anymore.
Yeah, he's no longer an active Robin Hooder and hasn't been for a long time. Kate, she's moved out of the immediate area. She still lives in New Hampshire. She's sort of living on a farm and doing farmy kind of things and working in a restaurant in Concord. Pete Eyre is now living in Manchester. He had left New Hampshire for a while and was traveling with his life partner, Amanda. And then, let's see, who's the other person? I'm spacing on the sixth person right now.
I am as well. I don't have the complaint in front of me. But I mean, the reason I like Robin Hooding is it's a way for me
Garrett
to get...
Ian, he also moved to the Concord area.
But it's a way for me to get my exercise. 2, it helps people get save them from parking tickets. And I'm not doing it to harass or molest anyone. I'm just doing it because I don't want, like, when people come out, I imagine them seeing that big orange parking violation and their day gets ruined because now they got to pay $5 or $10.
Absolutely. That's the reason I did it. But, people were mad at me because I let some of the parking enforcers know how I felt about what they were doing.
Yeah.
And so, again, it's that idea of you're expressing your opinion publicly. And if people are paying attention to you expressing your opinion, as some people pay attention to what I say because I have a radio show and a blog, freekeen.com, where I can express myself, inevitably people are going to have an opinion about your opinion.
Yeah.
And some of them aren't going to like it, especially if what you're doing, because Robin Hooding is more than just an opinion. That's an action with an opinion behind it, and especially if what you're doing is a threat to the status quo, which Robin Hooding absolutely is, because every time you save somebody from getting a parking ticket, you're depriving the city of $4.50, and 95 cents in revenue. Because if I put a nickel into a parking meter to buy somebody, 5 more minutes of time or whatever, I forget what a nickel buys you, but it'll buy you enough to save you from getting the ticket. That person is not written a $5 ticket. Instead, the city gets 5 cents. Right. So they've lost out on, most of $5.
I mean, one person,
and they hate that.
I was actually one of our people who were criticizing us. She was cutting my hair and said, "Well, it's your responsibility to feed the meter, and if you don't feed the meter, you're supposed to get a parking ticket." And I said, "Well, yes, but if I come along and with good intentions, put money in your meter, and you don't get a parking ticket, I'm doing it with the intent to help people." And, I want people to have a good time when they come down to downtown. I don't want them to be spoiled. And if if I can help them in a small way by giving them a parking ticket free day, and even if they didn't know who I was, so I always leave the card behind so they know that they were saved by one of the things. And, of course, one of the problems whenever
some people don't like that. They'll criticize that aspect of it. They'll say that, I support feeding people's meters, but this is just self-promotion.
Yeah.
Well, right. Well, I mean, or getting, getting paid for it. They don't like what they really don't want is don't want you to get money so that you'll continue feeding the meters, because nobody will say everybody who has a meter that's expired ought to get a ticket. Like
some
nobody
will say that.
Well, some would say that, but those are the a-holes.
There's plenty
the
of
dumb a-holes. Yeah. You see, only a dumb a-hole would say that. A smart a-hole is going to say, I think that it's fine that you feed the meters, but you shouldn't put any self-promotion there so to sort of perpetuate the way you can feed more meters in the future.
By the way, people do not have to donate any money to the Robin Hood organization. I fund it out of my own pocket because it's a way for me to exercise, and I'd be spending the money on a gym membership anyway. So for me, it's a good way to just go out in the meter. And I love seeing people that are like, "Oh, it's Peter Pan." No, I'm Robin Hood. And I'll say, "Sir, have you seen the King's Men? They are booting the horseless carriages of the townsfolk, and so we are trying to save them from the King's tariff." And they have a chuckling reaction. And
it's great. You can get out there. It is good exercise. It's good. And most of the response is positive. There was a time when I went out with a news crew, and I don't really go out very often to Robin Hood, but I went out with a news crew, and within minutes we had somebody saying nice things as they were driving by and like honking positively, and it just doesn't take very long to get positive.
They were
response.
Honking positively and sticking their middle finger out the window to say hello.
No, they weren't doing that. But every now and then
that's just
you'll
how they wave up here.
That's how they wave up here.
Every now and then you'll run into some trouble. So there was one time when I was out with a news crew, and a man who was very angry came up and started threatening the news crew. Which,
you know what? His punishment should be you get to go on the news. Like everyone should get.
They didn't put him on. I was surprised about that. They certainly got plenty of footage of him being absolutely outrageous, though, I can tell you that. Which is, of course, some of the fun of having, video to protect you with, is that, you actually can show how irrational and how ridiculous the opposition appears.
Yes.
When most people are friendly and appreciative, there's these very few a-holes out there who just love getting tickets, apparently, and they love the status quo, and they love the city, and they believe everything the city says when the city government says, you're threatening, harassing, and intimidating.
Well, that's why we
show us the evidence. Oh, well, we don't have any of that.
Actually, we have the opposite. We always, in the lawsuit, we said, look, if we're threatening or harassing you, tell us the date and time. We'll pull the footage from our body cams. And all of a sudden, those accusations from the city just disappeared.
Even the one instance of contact that they mentioned in the case was when Graham grabbed the one of the parking enforcer's hands because she was trying to grab his Robinhood card off of someone's windshield. He grabbed her by the wrist. She admitted on the stand that she in no way felt threatened by his action. So the one thing that they had was a physical altercation.
Well, Ian, was it Linda or who said they feel?
It was Jane, the nicer of the two.
Yeah. Well. So anyway, we are out of time
for now, but we'll be back tomorrow night, and you can join us online. In the meantime, freetalklive.com. If you want to learn more about Robinhooding, you can go to robinhood.freekeen.com. You'll see a whole bunch of stuff there, links to past videos and things like that. And hopefully you'll keep it up, TJ. You're going to go back out on the streets
this week?
Well, I got
to exercise. I'm getting fat.
So you're going back out this week?
I'm going back out tomorrow.
All right, cool. Maybe we'll hear more adventures later this week when he joins us again on Friday night. See you in the meantime, freetalklive.com.
Understanding your credit score is the first step towards managing and improving it. This is Charlie Sundstrom with your Van Dyke Mortgage Minute. The most influential component of your credit score is your payment history. Almost equally as important is the amount you owe on credit accounts. Also impacting your score, but to a lesser degree, are the length of time you've utilized your credit, the number of new accounts, credit inquiries, and your various types of credit accounts. To help achieve or maintain a healthy credit score, have a system set up to assure your bills are always paid on time. Don't max out your cards. It's better to have a high credit limit with a low balance. Never close old accounts. The age of these can actually help your credit score. But don't be afraid to use your credit. You need several accounts in order to have a credit score. Just keep the corresponding payments within your means. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykeMortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that tenth of a calorie it takes to click on something. Facebook.freetalklive.com.
The Call to Freedom is coming up next, live after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Sunday, April 10th, 2016. Silver is trading at $15.36 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,200.